Hello, hello. Welcome,
Hello.
one and all,
Blurry.
to another Humpday Q&A. There we go. God, blimey. Right, where are we at? Well, so I guess we'll go through the usual piece. Oh yeah, Scott, welcome back. You haven't been here for a few weeks.
Yeah, I know. It's been a little crazy. It's still kind of crazy, but I know I need to make some time for the show again. So,
well, thank you for joining us. And I guess you get to do these things. Hang on, there you go.
There we go. Be nice, be respectful, be constructive while you're here. This isn't Reddit. Don't post anything that's adult content, rude, offensive. It's common sense. Don't advertise or promote anything. We're glad you have a company, or, we're not happy that you need a job, but this is not exactly the place for it. Don't keep asking the same question again and again and again and again, because we're going to put you at the bottom of the list again and again and again and again, and your question's never going to get answered. Harassment of any kind, not tolerated. We share ban lists. So if you are if you act in a way that is basically against common sense and common decency here, we share ban lists, so your logins might disappear everywhere. And last, have fun.
Indeed, do have a good time. That's the major point here.
Yep.
Let's do some brief introductions. Also, if you do post a link, we won't see the message at all. It's not just the link, the message doesn't come through. So don't post links. Your question will not come through. We've had this before.
Yep.
Right.
YouTube blocks it. Only admins can post links.
Right. My name's Simon Lightfoot, Flutter Community Leader and CTO at Dev Angels London. And you can follow me on Twitter at Dev Angels London. Scott.
My name is Scott Stahl. I am also a Flutter Community Leader, owner of the Flutter Community Public Slack, organizer, GDG Cleveland, and word has it I go around speaking here and there at different events.
Yeah. And we also have a Randall. Randall, welcome to the stream. Yeah.
Hi. Happy to be back. Randall Schwartz. I'm a Dart and Flutter Google developer expert for the last 5 years, which means I basically get to answer lots and lots of questions in all the various community boards, and we get to speak remotely at various events and things like that. And I am the question magician for this show, which means that I am watching your live chat to the panel to be answered. Then please put a Q: in front of it. That lets me know that it's a conversation for us and not just a conversation amongst yourselves, because you often chat back and forth. So we want to distinguish those two modes of communication there. But for the first part of the show, I'm going to be back behind the scenes because we got plenty of people to bring on front. So I will be back probably in the second half of the show.
All right. See you later, Randall. And we also got with us Lucas. Hey, Lucas.
Hello, everybody.
And we've also got Thomas. Lucas, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, happily. So I'm Lucas, or Spydon, pretty much everywhere. I am part of the Bluefire open source collective, and we build things like Flame and audio players. And lately I've been organizing a conference called Flutter and Friends in Stockholm, which was on last week.
A lot of fun. Which is a very unusual conference, but maybe we should introduce Thomas first.
Oh, yeah. Thomas, please.
Hi. Yeah, my name is Thomas Burkhardt. I'm mainly infamous for my package Get and some other stuff that I published. And you also probably can meet me on Flutter events. Unfortunately, not in Stockholm this time, but another time again, probably. And I'm happy to be here. Let's see what we get a question, how I can contribute. Thanks.
If you have any questions about Thomas's packages, please feel free to pop them in the chat, and we'll get them answered during the show.
And there's a lot more than just get it, right? That's GETIT.
Important. It's get it. Yeah, not the one with the X. Yeah, so.
Not the one that tries to do everything for you to the point where it's a different framework than Flutter.
Yeah, most notably the new package Watch It, which definitely cannot be mixed up with the other one.
All right.
You've also got
Just do it, you get it, right?
Pardon?
If you watch it,
Thomas.
see it, and you'll get it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's RX Command is your other one, right? And there's
Flutter Command. Flutter Command. Watch it together with the RX Command was the original one, and the Flutter Command is the evolution, already also some years old, which doesn't use streams but all use change notifiers everywhere. And
okay.
And then there is functional listeners, which is RX-like extensions for value notifiers, which is also quite handy in combination with the other tools.
So we last week, me and Randall were actually talking about this. About it's really helpful. It would be really helpful to have some extensions in the framework that convert value notifiers or just like value listenables to streams and streams to value listenables, so that you can interchange those two things, right? Because there's so many times when you want to like link a notifier to a stream or the output of a stream to a notifier and vice versa.
Actually, this would be, I was thinking about maybe adding this to the functional listener package, but the most important thing in this package is, in my opinion, is the listen extension to value notifiers, so that you don't have to add listeners and remove listeners, but you can just .listen and you get a subscription back that you can cancel. Yeah, so it makes really the work with value notifiers so much more. Yeah, it feels more natural. It's much easier. Yeah. Actually, if you include Flutter Command, you already automatically get it with you. Because Flutter Command is all about value notifiers in every property. So listen comes quite naturally to it. Yeah.
I'll pop a
value
link
notifier is really useful.
Yep.
If I use it all the way down at the base for theme. User change of the theme. Boom, done.
Yeah.
So functional listener, links to functional listener and Flutter Commander in the chat for those that don't know what we're talking about. Along with watch it, I'll put in there as well.
Yeah.
So Lucas,
yes.
How did it go? And as I know from my previous experience, the event doesn't end for you when the event ends for everyone else. Things continue. So how's it going? How's it going?
What accounting?
Yeah.
I mean, so I think the event was super successful, like better than most of our imaginations. And I think next time we will be more than 2 people as main organizers, because it was quite a lot to do.
No. We didn't even know. I mean, the event was it was the most smooth running thing. And I told Lucas and Alec, I said, you pulled off the miracle. Whatever was going wrong, because things are always going wrong.
Yeah.
But whatever did go wrong, the attendees never noticed.
Yeah, I think we were pretty lucky.
That was the best. But yeah, the fact that it was only 2 people shocked me.
Yeah. I mean, we had a few volunteers during the actual event day too, but it was mostly 2 of us. And we have sent out this survey to all the attendees that have replied, and so there were lots of different questions, and some were between 0 to 10 how they would rate the event, and the average there was 9.4 of 70 respondees or something, and there was a net promoter score of 84, which is really good. But there are definitely things we can improve until for next year, because I hope there will be a next year. Because we had so much we want to do, so we just crammed in things. So the schedule was a bit too packed, I think. But
Lucas, how many before? I'm sorry, I was telling Simon before that we had a whole lot of people who are regular Flutter event attendees. These people, I've seen them again and again at different events, and all of them were saying it was the best they've ever seen. It was the most fun. You didn't because there was usually 1 track or just 2. You weren't stuck trying to choose between a lot of things. There was time to socialize. There was an entire day. I mean, we went kayaking. Some people went to museums. Some people, what were the other ones? I can't. Oh, they went to VR, I think.
Yeah, and went climbing, and yeah, what do we have more? They went to like a zoo or something. Yeah, some stuff like that.
I just
Yeah,
imagine
I went
go
out
to
and got
another
really wet
country,
in the kayak.
go to and try another country, and just spend the entire time in VR.
No, it was what, 3 hours?
Yeah,
4
stuff
hours?
like that. Yeah, there was a bike tour too that was supposed to take 2 hours, but took like 4 hours. All the people had like super sore muscles in their
But
legs today.
next time, it's very important though. Next time, we don't end the kayaking trip 90 minutes before the speaker's dinner.
Oh yeah,
Because all the speakers who were in the kayaks, we were wet from like here down. And then I jump on. Yeah, I jump on an electric scooter and I go back to the hotel and I see this message. It's like, yeah, the speaker's dinner is in just under an hour. And
yeah,
I'm like, I'm soaking wet.
yeah.
I have to
Like I
shower,
said, the schedule
change.
was way too packed.
But
Oh,
I
man.
really like this idea to have some events outside of the typical
That's great.
venture and talk, because at least for me, in-person events, most important is the networking with each other, because we can. It's as more and more talks are always on YouTube, so it's really the possibility to network with each other. How many attendees did you have, Lucas?
I think we was 165 in the end, something like that.
Yeah.
So pretty. It was like we could have fitted more in the venue, but I think it was a good amount for the venue we had for the talks.
Yeah, the main auditorium looked like it was 90% full, maybe 95% full.
Wow.
During the keynotes
Very good.
and all.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
I might have come. The only thing is, since I got a dog, I have always to make sure my wife takes care about him. And if I'm not actually there at a speaker, it's honestly, I have not another weekend.
The thing is, I went a little bit early because I went and checked out Copenhagen, and then I took the S train across Sweden. So that was a good experience, but that meant that Lauren had to take care of the dog with 5 walks a day for 9 days.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I got home and Mama was not happy.
Just next time I'm going on holiday to Europe.
Yeah. Hey, Matt. But yeah, that the event was just fantastic.
I do hear there was one mistake that was made. A Scot might have
shut
brought out
up.
some electrics.
Shut up.
Oh, yeah, that was hilarious.
Felix,
I wasn't in
audience?
that.
Felix, are you watching? Do you want to come on the show? And we can, because what happened was the day after it happened, Felix, his wife, and I were all at the Viking Museum taking a look at the ship. And we were joking around about who's going to get to tell the story the next time we're all sitting around a table. Because at the speaker's dinner, it was Majid and his wife and Felix and his lady and me, Mike Rydstrom, and a few other people, and we all got to exchanging horror stories from talks we had that went wrong.
Good way to warm up the day before you're gonna have your
48 hours later, I'm sitting in Felix's workshop. First of all, I couldn't get into the building. Google Maps took me to the sign for the building. I'm standing under it, and in front of it is a hair salon. So I'm like, where is this building? So I can't find the building. I finally get in. I'm trying to set up while everybody else is on step 2, trying to not make noise, which is impossible. Then my computer fires up. Well, I have an RTX 4070 on this thing, so it sounds like an airplane on takeoff. Everybody's hearing this. And then I finally get done with step 1, and you hear this, and the screen goes dark. Half the room goes dark.
Like when he says the screen, it's the whole screen with for the presenter, right?
Yeah, the presenter's screen went dark. So then also they were doing Google Meet through some kind of a little, I don't know what it was. It was a streaming controller or something. And that went down. So all the remote attendees got blacked out. They didn't know what happened. And it was my power converter fried. And it took out half the circuit breakers in the building. Nobody knew where the breakers were. The only people who knew where the breakers were not in the building, so they had to find them. It took 20 minutes to get the screen back up. And it was just like, oh, man. And Felix is trying to wing it. And for anybody who doesn't know, I'm talking about Felix Angelov, the guy who wrote Flutter Block and is working with Shorebird right now.
He's really cool.
He did, and he rolled with it really, really well. At the end, I told everybody, I was like, I'm really sorry, and I want to apologize to Felix, and at least it wasn't you.
Okay. Guys, I think we have our first question. If I see this correctly.
Oh yeah, we've got quite a few. Wait, right, so let's see what have we got in the queue. Let's start at the top and work our way down.
Anything for the event first, in case Lucas needs to go. Nope.
Yeah, I need to get into town. But it was amazing being on here again.
Yeah, and
thanks for having me.
Seeing you, man. And like I said, if you guys have any trouble organizing the event, I know a lot of the speakers are ready to step up and help organize.
Yeah,
it'll give me an excuse to make sure I get to come next year.
Yeah, yeah, we would love to have some help.
All right, buddy.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Get out.
Cheers.
Have a good one.
Right, I guess we can have Randall back on the stage. Randall,
yes,
come back. There you go. He's back. I guess
I wasn't ready to be back.
We hear you.
Okay.
We hear you.
Okay,
right.
Okay.
I guess we'll just jump on our first question that's in the queue, and then we'll go from there. So,
what is it? When you talk about Expando, first I need to know what it is.
So
you don't know what it
is a feature of Dart, and if I remember rightly, it was like a lazy loading thing. Let me bring it up.
It's the ability to add members to a class, but it sort of sits sideways and backwards on it. It's keyed by the object. Essentially, it's a map from an object to an extra object, but it's done in a way that if the main object goes away, the Expando also goes away. So it's kind of like adding extra properties to a thing. This is something that Expando from Java is a similarity thing. And it's also similar to, apparently JavaScript has that capability as well. It's needed to mimic some things that happen in JavaScript that would be hard to represent in Dart.
Right. So this is probably
okay, for the JavaScript part. Okay.
Yeah. And it's not. I thought when I first saw it that it was the same as weak references, but it's exactly the opposite of that. You have to be holding the object to get to the Expando field. So you can't just have the field be alive as long as that object is somewhere. You have to also know the object to get to the Expando. So later I was very happy that all of a sudden we had finalizers and weak references, but that has nothing to do with this. This is simply a side property that hangs out as long as the main object is right here and you've got the main object. You can use it to look up a side value.
I don't know if I really would recommend using it, honestly. If it's
it's mostly, again, it's for compatibility with JavaScript. JavaScript can do this because JavaScript object can have casual properties and Dart objects can't. This is kind of the replacement.
Okay, I understand. Yeah.
So this can't be used on numbers apparently, because if it's used on numbers, it cannot be disposed. So they blocked it.
It's probably more to do with the fact that these are all primitive data types.
Right.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Right. Like they're all based.
It can't work over FI.
But this is the interesting thing. Like they're marked. The functions are marked external.
Yeah.
So this is a language feature.
It's hooked into the side of the GC stuff. It's definitely it nuances the GC to kind of hold on to this as long as the other thing's still there. So it's sort of a primitive first step towards having gotten finalizer and weak references. This is sort of the first step towards that it involves the GC in an unusual way. So
So I mean this okay. Sorry. I see how. Sorry, I missed the fact that it's generic. Sorry. So basically, you're saying you wrap your existing data type with Expando to make a new data type. That new data type then has all of the properties of the underlying data type. No, because you're accessing through. That's what I'm trying to say. But you access through a.
You have
map.
you have an Expando object that you're also using in adjacency with the original object. It sort of adds properties, but there's a lot of mechanical work to make it work right. So
yeah, but it's not just that. You're accessing the properties through a map style interface, which is also just backwards.
A map whose keys are the property names and values are the property values, but the keys will automatically go away once the object also that's associated with it also goes away. Something like that.
Do you know what? No, just avoid it. That's fine.
Don't use it in any code. Again, it was to solve a problem with JavaScript having casual properties, as it was explained to me. And I don't know I bet if you look through the entire code base, Expando is probably only in about 2 or 3 places being used.
Yeah.
That would be a curious thing to do.
Actually, if you really need to add additional properties or functionality to an object, I recommend using a proxy pattern that you wrap your object inside another object that derives from the original object from the type. So and just add there your places. It's really the other thing. If it's done just for the compatibility with JavaScript, I really would recommend stay away too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's also this is to follow on to Thomas's statement there. Coming up, already available as an experiment in the current releases, is inline classes is what they used to call it. Now it's expanded type or something like that, expanded class type. And it will allow you to add properties essentially to a core type without a lot of work. So that's coming up anyway. So that might completely eliminate the need. Although I still think it's still hard coded, so that means it's not going to be casual properties like Expando can be.
Yeah. But I just wonder, what do you think? Will Dart keep the compatibility with JavaScript forever, or if we
Yes, but it might be hidden behind an if-def.
Well, I mean, no, I'm gonna caveat that and say if Watson at some point if Watson becomes the primary.
Exactly, that was my point.
Then I think JavaScript will die.
Yeah, but because
it's Watson opens up to every language. It's not a language specific thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't think
that's coming. The writing's on the wall.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It depends how much people inside Google still program JavaScript in Dart. This might be important for this.
Guess what?
It could also have a lot to do with head count.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I found the underlying internal source code for Expando, and this explains literally how it's all done. It's just a list of weak properties. It literally is a list of weak properties. And then each time you read a property, it goes through, tries to find a identity match, and then set or whatever, marks it as deleted or retrieves that value, and this one assigns the value, and does a bunch of little stuff. But that's it. Those two functions is the way. Basically, it's managed a set of weak properties, and then whenever you change them, it rehashes count. That's a new hash of all of them, and that's it. That's the end of it. That is it there.
Okay.
So it's basically,
it solves a very narrow problem, and if you have that problem, you need this, and if you don't have that problem, you won't need this, and it won't make any sense.
And it looks pretty hacky if I look at this. It's not nice. No.
And then
it's a little baling wire and Scotch tape. Yeah.
A little thing to keep in mind. It's very niche. It solves a very specific problem, but we have to remember that these aren't the old days of Flutter. We've got like millions of devs, I believe, using Flutter now. So even if it's a 0.5, even if only half of 1% of us face this, that's a significant number of devs.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
There are a lot of us out there now. So anyway. Yes.
Next
And
thing.
also, by the way, I'm noticing some questions going back and forth. If there's not a queue, we're assuming that you're asking each other.
Yep.
So we're not ignoring you. We just think you're asking each other. All right.
We get puzzled, though. It's not just ignoring. We do get puzzled. Do ask the questions.
How do we
Ooh.
paste images into a Flutter app when copied on Mac OS? Well, first of all, that's a Mac OS desktop problem specifically.
I can tell you, well,
We need Reuben.
no. Huh?
Where's John coming?
What?
Yeah.
I can tell you exactly what the answer is to this. It's already been solved. So let me bring this up here. Hang on.
Can you go directly from Clipboard to an image? Oh,
So
There you go.
So Superlist made two packages, Super Clipboard and Super Drag and Drop. This is made around Native Shell, which is a set of packages that revolve around making desktop apps. You can see a Super Context Menu, Super Sliver List, Hotkey, Keyboard Layout, all sorts of other fun things. Anyway, so the Clipboard one is the one you're looking for. Supports macOS, iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, Linux, all the platforms, and supports custom data formats as well. And you can paste images and all the stuff that you normally get from your desktop, basically. Where is it? I think there's an example here somewhere. HTML, plain text, format PNG, get file PNG, and you get stream.
And it supports all platforms, right?
Yep, all platforms. So this is basically what it says.
This is pretty amazing.
So that's what I'd recommend. And the other one is Super Drag and Drop, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Check this out. So to be clear, those are two different applications running side by side. One is a native application, one is a Flutter application on the left. And if you look how seamless this is, you select stuff.
Wow.
And then you just drag it over. Look, outside of the application boundary and drop.
This is amazing.
Collect what you want on the outside, look, drag and drop it, and in it goes.
Yep.
Makes me want to have a little icon on my screen all the time just so I can drag things there.
The nice thing, if I see this, I say, "Oh, amazing app! Why can't you use it in our current app somehow?" Yeah, but it's not a right application. Yeah.
So that's great.
For those, I mean, you said how to pay. I mean, I just go say use those packages, right? That's what the answer is.
Yeah.
But equally, people kind of interested in how these things work, and like you're just basically like all the plugins, you just wrap the native functionality that the platform offers. So you go read up the platform SDK, like the Win32 SDK for Windows, or the Clipboard kit, or whatever it's called on Mac, to do the clipboard management on Mac, and then you're finding a common set of behaviors that you can wrap in a plugin and expose to Flutter. So simple as that. All right.
And especially with the latest version of the what's it called? What's again the FI Gen? It's really it got so much easier to wrap native libraries into a Dart interface. So I would today always first try this before I start writing a classic plugin, with channels, etc. So.
Do you know what else is brilliant that a lot of people don't use?
Exactly. It's also
Gen.
And FI Gen also now, I think it supports also now Objective C and what's the other one on iOS? I'm just having a blackout. Objective C and Swift. Yeah. Swift. I think it now supports both of them, which is pretty amazing.
I'm just looking through see what the labs.dart.dev publisher has, and look, there's you got the CrowNet stuff, you got CrowNet gRPC, native synchronization, allowing you to do these are all experimental packages, but allow you to do what we were talking about last week, which is thread synchronization, which you need with native code, right? Sendable, primitives, mutex, conditional. So you can support mutex or conditional variables inside of Dart when dealing with FFI.
That's just pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah. What is this? INTL4X. lightweight module library for So, hey, mate, is this INTL package, but like lightweight? Is that one? Again, when I read this.
4 times the speed.
Oh, no, look, based on ICU4X. So there must be a new
That
standard.
explains it. That explains
What's that?
It. What is
So, yeah,
ICU4X?
What ICU?
Okay.
So this is the This is ICU is basically the international like Unicode standard stuff, right? I'm kind of there's a website. There's a name for, literally forgot what. Yeah, international components for Unicode. There you go, ICU.
Wow.
Basically, this is the international data set that gets kept up to date that contains date formats, time formats, currency formats, all the things that are localized basically are all actually kept in ICU, and then that is actually what's shipped inside of your Flutter application. Sorry, I just realized Tom's been hit by a question there. So ICU data is actually built into the way Flutter works anyway. But then if you use the INTL package, this is the normal INTL package, which is basically the way that you use internationalization in Dart code. This is the base one. You can set your default locale, and then you can get all your to format your date and time and all the rest of it. Won't go into it. It looks like there's a 4x package which must use the new types. So I'm assuming we might be seeing. We're actively iterating on the API, so it looks like they're supporting web right now.
Mm-hmm.
For ECMA 402, and they're working on ICU4X web and native right now. Future things are coming. Native toolchain C. I have no idea what does it say that is. A library to invoke native C compiler installed on the host machine.
Okay.
If you're building a toolchain, that's perfectly what you want. App engine, so you can run a custom. Look, Dart support for running Dart code on Google App Engine.
This is pretty cool.
You want to run simple Dart code on server side? Bosh, there's an example. Literally, that is as simple as it gets. Bosh.
This is very nice. Yeah.
Sit down. Anyway, yeah, so I just got off topic here, but I just noticed there was some cool little things in there.
Simon wandering all over the place.
We could do a whole show just on random things in the pub that you might not have noticed before.
I know, right? Like you just go around it, you suddenly find this random stuff. Right, let's get back to it. Go on.
Wait, I think 3.5 hours is our current record, and we'd blow right through that if we started.
Oh no, we've done longer shows before.
Oh, we did a 4. We did a 4. I remember that one. That was a long one.
All right.
Can't do that today. I have hard outs today. So
what are the me too, probably about 45 minutes. What are the career opportunities for a Flutter developer who starts to adapt who starts to adapt their skill set? For example, things like Node.js, MongoDB, Express.js, and TypeScript. I think this means, what do we suggest that you increase your skill set to do? I think.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, the thing is, like, you're saying, like, you've learned Flutter, and now you're now learning Node.js, MongoDB, Express, and TypeScript is what I'm reading here. And then you're saying, what do we recommend to do next?
Well, I think this is how do you open up more career opportunities by adding things to your skill set?
Adding things to your skill set.
I mean, there's no you could go look around and see what the things are getting the most questions, and what things are getting the most impact. There's plenty of websites where you can kind of like Stack Overflow and things where you can go see the stats and everything else about what is like the current interesting topics, and then go learn those, and then you're more employable for those topics. But that doesn't mean you might like that work, right? So,
yes. Talk to Reuben about mainframe computing.
Hey,
the thing about Flutter,
I used to be qualified to fix mainframes.
Yeah, the thing about Flutter is it doesn't exist in an isolation. It's always talking to something. So every project I've been on, and I've been on dozens now in the Flutter arena, where you have Flutter, it's Flutter talking to something. And so there's always an additional technology or set of technologies that is either mandatory or really, really, really good to at least have some familiarity with. So every new box you can check off on your resume will make you more saleable, more hireable, employable. So it's a matter of being curious about everything else in the world and studying some of those things at least, playing with them. A lot of them have free tiers to be able to play with. You know, build stuff, watch shows like this to see what's going by and people are asking questions about this. These are all good indicators. Yeah, and hang out on Discord, hang out on Slack, find out what people are looking for people to do and get smart in those areas, and you'll be forever employable.
What I may
I'm just saying, when was the last time any of us have worked on a project that didn't require some type of cloud backend, whether it was AWS or GCP?
Yep. And for example, especially
name one that doesn't need those.
Yeah.
Don't try to learn both.
Yeah.
Sorry.
In this
Sorry,
direction,
Thomas.
I can really recommend to study the Open API standard, formerly called Swagger, because it's really amazing. In our current project, we generate all our client code directly from Open API. And it makes life so much easier, and it makes your especially if you work together with a backend team that just gives you some postman endpoints. It's really helpful. Model the data types in Open API and then directly generate your Dart code. So this is really a great tool. And especially the code generators that are available for OpenAPI, either for simple HTTP or for using DIO HTTP client, both are really, really good. So this would be one of the things to get better connected to backends.
Indeed.
Also making APIs and also doing, you know, that's something. It sounds to me like you're probably the sorry, I can't pronounce your name, terrible names. You're already on that path with doing Node.js, MongoDB, Express.js, and TypeScript. It sounds to me you're already in that sort of realm of doing server-side things. I would, you know, suggest you're killing my ADHD. What? Okay. I recommend that you try doing some of these things in Dart, right? Like Dart on the server
Dart
side
backend,
is still growing thing, and there's several
Dart Frog,
server
ServerPod, yeah,
it's another good
cool
opportunity.
stuff. Cool stuff.
All right, next question, I guess.
How do I communicate with native code by using a channel? Is there a good source for learning both of these for Android and iOS?
The Flutter website.
I would start with the docs, and they will lead you elsewhere. It's just the docs are where you start.
Let's see if we can get in there. So yeah, if you just go to the documentation, and then on the left-hand side here, there is a
platform integration.
That's the one. And then you've got a whole slew of things in here, supporting platforms, obviously, like the first go-to page, and then you got writing platform-specific code. There is actually a template. So here you go, what's platforms are supported, writing platform-specific code. Talks about how channels work and everything else, what the data types are. This is always go-to. So in Java, what it is in Dart, Kotlin, what it is in Dart.
Very great, yeah.
Yeah, so this is really helpful for when you're like writing that specific SDK. And then there's also, for those that don't know, there's actually it doesn't actually show you here. There is actually a template as well. So if you do Flutter create -- help, and it gives you the -T for template, and then you can specify template. But anyway, there's lots of information here about how to adapt these things and use them. There's also a package called Pigeon, which does code generation around this as well. And then there's also some learning materials on packages and plugins here on the left, what that's about, and what the differences are, and so on.
And
So,
again, FFI Gen again is your friend. Check FFI. What's the, how you can use this?
The FFI Gen is great if the thing you're connecting to is like a static
C
library or C code or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you're trying to connect to like an iOS or Android SDK by a third party, then you're going to be using Flutter channels probably, right?
What?
Yeah.
Why? Well, you can wrap any, or do you mean that you don't want to create the whole API surface in Dart? That if the API surface is too big, or why would you use
No, I
a
mean
classic plugin?
FFI Gen generates from C header files, not from.
Oh, it does from Objective C and from Swift now.
Oh, I guess. I mean, you could use FFI Gen then to do use JNI Gen for the Android stuff, and then
Mhm.
the Objective C generation or Swift generation for iOS. Anyway, like the channel stuff works just as good. Like there's just other ways of doing it. You're going to need to
I always try to avoid to code anything in Objective C, for example. That's the main reason why I really like the FFI stuff. I don't like to switch between different languages. So
I think it's the problem I think people have, though, they have to be careful, at least, is you're changing the environment the language is meant to be written in. So you write something in Objective C, you have a managed memory language, and you're now running that you're in an unmanaged language versus now a garbage collected managed language. And you can get into, without knowing a bit more about the native code and the experience of native code, it can be harder to debug because you're going through that channel.
Yeah.
So just yeah.
Actually, also looking back at the question before, it's really not wrong to learn a little bit of basic C or C++, and do some coding in a language that does not have memory management. It will make you better understand a lot of problems.
I think it's another interesting thing that I think opened my eyes up when I was doing programming quite early on was writing my own interpreter and compiler and things like that.
Oh well, that's the high bar.
No, you can do simple things, but the point here is it's about, like, for example, a good example of learning some silly basic things. But how do you convert an integer to a string without using a library?
Yeah.
Because somewhere, the thing people in mind, somewhere someone has written that code and it's in the SDK, it's in the library that you're using, right? And it's the same. I thought that's the same thing. It's like a lot. I think there's in people's minds, it's like you're just converting from one thing to another. But no, there's a process that has to take place. In case of, for example, of what I just mentioned, like an integer to a string, you keep dividing the integer value by 10. And then adding the ASCII value 0 to it. So you're basically making the characters up, and then it's reversed. So you just reverse that string and then output that string of characters that you've now generated from the original number. And that's a process that actually takes place. And most people just, again, when you're one level sort of higher in the stack, right, of abstractions, you see it as one operation, but actually it's many operations the chip is doing, right? And I love it the way that people look at Flutter and go, oh, it's only doing these 5 things, right? But each one of those 5, let's say it's doing 5 constructors or 5 like builds or something. And it's only doing that. But then each one of those things does a lot more things. And each one of those things does a lot more things. So it's like, before you know it, we could talk about billions of operations per second for a computer to do. Yeah, they get used up because of all the levels of abstraction that are taking place.
Well, when you consider what it takes to draw a circle on the screen, there's a lot of sines and cosines in that.
Yeah.
And those are heavy math all the way around, always.
Yeah. But actually, I think there are some algorithms that narrow it without having to do this trigonometry.
Bresingham,
exactly. I was just thinking about
yeah.
I think
I want to bounce back for a second.
I'm
sorry. I was just going to bounce back for a second when we were talking about platform channels and Pigeon. Actually, Daria did a fantastic talk on Pigeon, the bridge to the native side, and this was just about 10 days ago at Flutter and Friends. The link
cool
to it and the link goes directly to the time
Right.
that her talk starts, because this video is 8 hours long.
Oh,
It's the entire
it's the
main
entire
stage
day.
with all the talk.
Okay. And another thing that's also really fun and will improve your understanding of coding is doing some little bit embedded development with an Arduino board, for example.
Oh, yeah.
An Arduino board is a little piece of PCB board with an Atmel microcontroller on it, and you can,
I've got some in here.
and you can control some LEDs or something. But it's fun on one side, and on the other side you really learn what is it like if you only have some kilobytes of RAM and you try to get something running.
I remember one thing I did. This was some time ago now. This is when NFC first came out as a thing, like quite in the early days. And a friend of mine had a recording studio, and he'd rent the time of the studio out, right, to different people. So I built him. I used an Arduino. I used a Arduino with some NFC readers, and I built a little system up of a door lock that he would rent the cards out to them, and they would only work for so many uses or for the time duration of the thing. And like it was like a perfect little example there of to get that made somewhere else, it's that no one was doing that kind of NFC door locks, wasn't even a thing then, right? And to do that and have it custom made is like a ridiculous amount of money. People start businesses around these things, right?
There's a bit more follow on to the question here. This is her response there.
And I think the biggest thing really is going to be the cloud, whether it's GCP or AWS, even Azure. Just going more full stack, really.
I think definitely. I mean there's great, do it, practice with it. There's another thing actually I think you should I didn't catch your name, but there's another thing I'd recommend. Go look at the IETF RFCs. Right, so that's the Internet Engineering Task Force, IETF, which is the standards body for a lot of the internet. There's RFCs, or requests for comments. These are the standard documents for which we use for communication on the internet and so on, that define things like HTTP. So if you didn't know, there's actually a place where HTTP is written out as a specification. There's emails, how emails are sent and forth between companies. SMTP, POP3, IMAP, these are all protocols that are all defined in these documents. So you're talking about like learning about the backend. You go, well, why does it say post? Why is it what's put? Why do I use get? These are all, and what is content type, right? These concepts that are familiar to us that know about HTTP are actually defined in the standard and exactly laid out what they can be, how they should be used. So it's worth like looking up and reading up some of the information around like how the actual standards work.
Touching on one thing real quick, the SciPede is not exactly easy to do Flutter on, and Raspberry Pis are almost impossible to get a hold of sometimes. So you get a Mango Pi from with AliExpress. So yeah, this is basically the same thing as a Raspberry Pi. So
that's good. Like,
Simon, how many of those do you own? 6, 7?
Too many. Was that one? Is that the one that's like 200 megahertz and like
I can't remember,
2 gigabytes of RAM or something? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Also, if you can 3D print your own custom case for it.
If you have a 3D printer, then.
Oh, actually, there was this amazing talk in Berlin on controlling a coffee machine with from Flutter. I can really recommend.
FlutterCon, right? That was the FlutterCon talk.
Yeah, the FlutterCon. Yeah, this was really interesting to see how you can use Flutter in an embedded environment, and it's actually, in my opinion, an area where we will see much more demand in the future, because the presenter, he made a point that really there isn't a lot of good alternatives if you want to make UI on an embedded system. and the only one is Qt with a really, really bad licensing model. And so Flutter has a lot of potential there.
There is one other, if I remember right, there is another library that has competition with Flutter on embedded, and it's specifically designed for embedded. It's a new library. I forget its name. It's going to bug the hell out of me now.
But has it any reach yet?
Yeah,
I mean,
yes, LVGL. I want to show people this because this is really cool.
Oh, and Thomas, people had the same question about Flutter 4 years ago. That's my screen, not yours. There you go.
So LVGL, Light and Versatile Graphics Library. I saw this a while ago and thought this is a competitor to Flutter. You can see here, this is the kind of UIs you can generate with this, right? Smartwatches, like widgets demo. Yeah, like you can do all this kind of.
Did you have a look at how you work with it?
Oh wow! Look, I'm actually using it on the web page. Oh wow! I didn't know that. Okay, look, there you go. Look.
Nice. So it can be web apps.
So this must. Oh wow! Look, it's actually working on the web page. So this must be using WASM, right?
But who is behind this? This looks pretty amazing.
Oh, it is. I was researching it, and I loved how they're building it out in terms of the underlying infrastructure as well. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to remember it's on GitHub. Where's the GitHub? So look, links here. Look, Port PC Eclipse, ESP32, STM, MicroPython, Visual Studio. Like they're working on like a bunch of different platforms.
Interesting. It looks like that they don't support iOS and Android. Funnily.
No, I know, and I think that web EM scripting. So they are binding C++, WinBlocks.
Who are they?
These are all like the different. But for those that don't understand, these ports are what you name a port, like a software port. This is a port to run this platform on this type of device. So ESP32 is a common platform for embedded work. Linux frame buffer. There you go. So you should be able to work it on Android or Linux, Windows. So this is kind of an interesting, but this is all raw. Very low level C++ stuff, but it looked really interesting when I was looking at it.
Yeah, but it's
put the link in the chat for those that want to go exploring it. But
and you brought up controlling a coffee pot earlier, and I just wanted to say there's an RFC on controlling a coffee pot over the internet, and I pasted the RFC link in the chat.
Here you go, Thomas. Fully portable C++, no external dependent libraries at all. That's amazing. Can be compiled to any MCU, NPU, or real-time operating system. Supports monochrome, e-paper, OLED, TFT, and even monitors. Distributed on the MIT, so it can be used for commercial.
Really?
It needs only 32 kilobytes of RAM and 128 kilobytes of flash. A frame buffer and at least 1/10 of the screen size buffer for rendering.
Okay, but it's probably not as easy to write than Flutter. I would.
No. Definitely not. I can't see that at all. But at the same time, I do find it kind of interesting. Again, when you're writing, C, C and doing all these things. I mean, let's show C code. What's this? So so for example, here this bar with this gray.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got that's all the code apparently.
Nice.
So LV bar 3, initialize a style, define your gradient, color, whatever, create a bar, add the style, set the size, set it to the center. So again, but if you look at this, set size, fix pixel size, center it, set its range. There's very much like it's not like a declarative style.
Probably a layout will be not as flexible.
I don't think there is any layout. I think the layout here, but looks of it, is probably more like most C libraries, very a manual process. You might have some. Do they actually have row and column or anything comparable?
Well, just saw a tab bar view. Look, tab view, table, text on the left side.
Yeah, I don't think the rows and columns. I think this is more.
But probably we are going way off.
I know, but this is like data table.
Yeah,
imperative style. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Anyway, we're completely off topic, but that was kind of an interesting explanation.
folks, there you go. First time we've ever gone off topic in 4 years.
I also wanted, yeah, right. I also wanted just to pop this in. I did a talk on
Yes.
using Dart to control e-paper displays, and this is actually a bicolor e-paper display. So I did a talk on the slides and everything else, and so they're linked in here. People are interested in some other kind of embedded work.
Where is the
Now, since we're between real quick, I'm going to have to step out. I am going to try and be on the show every week for at least an hour or so, but I also do have work I have to get done. So we have certain deadlines that cannot be moved, unfortunately, but such is life.
All right.
Oh, here's the I found the talk.
Okay. And
Thanks for coming, Scott, and we'll
hasta la bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
I was going to say to people, I just realized I haven't uploaded that e-ink talk. So what I'll do, I'm probably going to pop that up on YouTube, and I'll update the README in the on the repo. So watch the repo, and you should get the update come through on GitHub.
Cool.
All right. So
we have 10 questions. We're about halfway through the show, in theory. So we're probably going to cut off questions maybe another 15, 20 minutes, and then we have some time maybe for some live coding, or maybe Thomas wants to talk a little bit more about watch it and get it. That'd be cool. So
Yeah, but see.
yes. Okay. So we continue.
Right.
Too many drivers. There we go. Is there any Dart pure package to create video animation like After Effects? Probably not.
Oh, wait.
Not so. Let me. You're not going to get a pure Dart doing this anywhere, and it would not be practical to do it anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So Dart is a high-level language. It's not designed to do low-level work like video, custom video rendering, all in Dart. So it's not going to be pure Dart, whatever you're thinking of. You're always going to have to speak to the native platform to do this in any sort of efficient way. To be clear, you could do it, but you would be spending a lot longer to do your renders through, through Dart and Flutter than you would do if you want to do it native. Now, here's the interesting point. The output of the reason why After Effects exists is because the output is a video. However, if you wanted to, what you could be doing is if your viewer is always in Flutter, then what you're recording is a series of instructions like make this thing this big, move it to this position, align it here, change the opacity to this. That series of instructions that you see on a timeline, like in After Effects, you can record to a JSON file and then you play back in Flutter live real time. Flutter can do that just fine. So can Dart, because you're taking advantage of the fact that Flutter is rendering. What Flutter doesn't let you do currently is record its output to a video stream. Some of us, including myself in the community, have actually been working on this, but it's not ready at the moment. So that's all I can talk about right now. But hopefully, maybe at some point, we'll see a way of actually just playing back, sort of like moving widgets on the screen and doing your normal Dart code, and the output can be recorded as a video. But that again is not pure Dart code, right? You're using Flutter, which has C code, right? So I know that's a kind of, we
have the.
Yeah. Go on.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, let's go on to the next one. That one's kind of answered there. I have something related to UI. How do you dynamically change UI from a backend server? Like the backend needs to decide what's in the UI.
Exactly like you would do anything. I mean, the point here is that the dynamically changing part of the UI is just your app reading a series of instructions of what to show on the screen, right? So, like your layouts, you might have in Dart code, your imperative style, you're saying you have a JSON file that says you can have a JSON file that contains a list called layout, and each item in the list is a little object with a type and then the parameters for it. Now you've just made a server-side rendered thing. You can now change the order of those items. You can change the parameters. And when the app reads that file, it builds a series of children or a column or row or whatever, right?
Yeah, you essentially want to build a common language somehow. And JSON's an easy one to use for the actual primitives of it, but you're basically building a script, just like we were talking about a moment ago about After Effects. You want to have a bunch of things say, I want to have these 3 widgets, and these are going to access those kinds of data. And you can build that as something that's coming back from a server. And then you just have, I was going to say Java code. What the hell am I thinking? Flutter code to interpret that JSON and recursively walk down through the JSON code and build an objects, which builds the widget tree that gets displayed. It's
I mean,
it's
I
not
mean,
a solved problem, but it's a solvable problem.
yeah. I don't know if the person who asked the question meant the full flexible way that you now described. It can be way simpler. It can be that you get that you when you do your startup, you do one request to your backend, you get some bool flags that and depending on them, you enable some widgets or disable some widgets. Yeah, it does not have to be the full scripting language. One nice thing to do this, by the way, is with if you only want to change some things and do this flexible online, is Firebase remote config. It's very nice to do something like this if you want to enable or disable certain areas online, and you don't want to add a custom endpoint for this, for example.
The dev team actually produced something called Remote Flutter Widgets, RFW. I put the link in the chat room. Some of you might want to bring it up and stare at it for a second.
Yeah, and that was this experimental.
Experiment.
It's not to be used. It's just a fun little thing, right?
Oh, okay. Wow.
But I know from others who started some packages to do something similar. But it's yeah. I think in most cases you won't need to completely control the front end from the back end, because if you really have to do this, then just write a web app. If you really want to control the full UI from the back end, then do a web app.
Right.
I did. I'm just trying to find some code. I actually did this, and I did it way back in Dart and everything back in like 2018 or something as an example for someone.
Way back.
So I'm going to see if I can dig this out.
Okay. In the meanwhile, we continue. Let's continue.
Yes. Oh my god, I found it. I found it.
Oh wait, sorry.
Hang on. This is hang on. Let's see if I can get this up on the stream.
You have these all in little gists, I'm sure, or projects that are.
Actually, it might be. Let's have a look. Maybe I can find. I probably posted a gist somewhere. We can skip this. So it's called Interface Expander, apparently.
Oh, wow.
No, I didn't post it. Well, let me see if I can get this. Oh, mate. Sorry, this is just amusing to me. Where's the screen share button? Oh no, I've lost it. This is just funny. Sorry, I'm just like looking at the code now. Where's the share button? Entire screen. Go for it. Here we go. Let's see if I'll make this bigger. Yeah. So this is an old test. This is all like broken code. This is like an old test project. Look, app required. It's been a long time since I had to use that. So this actually would load. What was it? Assets layout test. There you go. So you could write your layouts like this. As XML. So look here, like import, scaffold, app bar, title, actions, app icon button. This is the kind of something like this, right? If you wanted to, and then this interface expander. This is an example of like loading that file, creating this like inflator, and then this has this expand XML to widgets. And if we scooch down to that, this builds what's called a visitor, an XML visitor, passes that tree and builds up basically a list of widgets. I won't go into it, but basically reads all the attributes, and based on what those attributes are and what the node names are, it will build up the various widgets into a tree. And you got to like visit, is it width? Then try and pass that. Is it color? Try and pass that. Main axis, cross axis. And there's a bunch of ways of doing this. And here you go. If it's text, then create a text widget. If it's a column tag name, then create a column widget, right? And pass across the various parameters, various arguments. And then finally, yeah, we've got some like icon names, and that's it. What's that? How many lines is that? 269 lines.
Wow.
Yeah, that's simple as it gets. I could easily port this right now if people are interested and want it. I'll post it on. We could do that as live coding in a minute if people are interested. We could get back working again.
Yep. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This is a two-parter. So it says, I recently had an interesting interview and experience where I was asked to create an asteroid game without any packages at all. Not even Flutter. Now, I'm curious as to how to approach it, and continued here. Created a game logic class which updates the location of asteroid and spaceship with each tick. It used a single custom painter to paint the asteroid and spaceship and repaint based on, and I think there's a few more words, but it fell off. It's something like that. Maybe I should go
or something. Yeah, you got it right. There you go. That's it.
That was good.
That's how games work. So the only reason you have frameworks and libraries like Flame, obviously is that you're abstracting things away, so that the things you do on every game are done in one place, so you don't have to keep redoing them, right? But in general, all they end up doing is changing XY position of a class, which is just representing an entity on the screen. So you might have an array of asteroids objects, and each asteroid object has an X and Y position, and each tick you go through, you go, what is the velocity of this object? Add to the XY value. Now you've got a new position. That's it. You now update all the positions of all your objects, and then you say render, and then render goes through all your list of asteroids and goes, at this XY, paint this asteroid.
Yep.
And that is exactly how all your games, your desktop, your Windows, the chats, the web pages, it all works exactly the same way. Work out where to put stuff on the screen and then paint at those positions on the screen.
And if you're doing anything like that, learn the full protocols of things like offset, size, rectangle.
Yeah.
Those things have so many more methods than what we use. You never need to invoke sine or cosine explicitly. You can say, give me something that's at a 45-degree angle at 7 units out from this point, and it figures that out with just 45 degrees and 7 units instead of having to go sine to the cosine and the times.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can add offsets. You can multiply offsets by constants. You can subtract offsets to get distance away. Really cool stuff. And people just don't, you go check those protocols out of those four. Those are the key ones. And align too, but that's for things like position. So it's kind of fun. Anyway, let's move on. There we go. How about PDF View gives a blank screen after device rotation using Flutter PDF View. Any solution for this? I see PDFs come in all the time in questions. What is this everybody's doing with PDFs? Anyway, Simon.
Well, no, it's kind of interesting, right? Because obviously PDFs are quite a popular thing, and they as they should be, quite used quite everywhere. I'm kind of curious of what this package you're just talking about, PDF View. Hang on a second, let me see if I can.
Yeah, there's about 12 or 15 or 30 solutions to this.
Yeah,
and maybe the wrong one.
PDF View _ Flutter was that the name of it?
Flutter _ PDF View.
Oh,
right there.
Yep.
4 months ago. That's not too bad.
It's a shame that none of this has been processed, apparently. I don't know if that's because it's well, no, I mean it's a recent version.
Mm-hmm. Does things.
I mean, this is like, I would go out, reach out to
talk to their issues.
Yeah. You know, there's his email address. Email him.
Right.
Raise an issue to GitHub. Right. I mean, to be fair, like what you're seeing there is obviously a problem where the state is not being restored correctly.
Yeah.
Could this be connected with that Android destroys or creates an activity when you turn or something like this?
No, well, not on Flutter. But see, Flutter puts exceptions in the Android manifesto. It doesn't do that.
Okay.
There is actually a package. The package I would recommend instead of using PDFview is PDFX. PDFX is actually essentially a reimagining of two other libraries. Sergey here, Sergey Software is basically the person behind all of the PDF stuff in Turret and Pub for years, but it's just Dart even. He's closed off the old packages, I think. But yeah, EPUB Viewer, Explorer, Universal File, yeah, Native PDF View, that was it. So Native PDF View was the original one. This is now deprecated in favor of PDFX. And then there's a Native PDF renderer or something. If I remember right, Native PDF renderer, EPUB. But anyway, so if you go, PDFX, this again has a PDF view, as you can see here, right?
Wow.
And then you can, it's nice and efficient. You have all the same sort of thing as what you just saw, on render, on load, whatever you want to do. So, try another package. If it doesn't sort your solution out, then, and also please do, as much as, the author might not have time, raise an issue with the original package. Otherwise, no one else knows. And then if you're, let's say someone else comes along and has the same problem, they go to the repo, they look at the issues and go, oh, this was raised a year ago and it's not been fixed. Okay, I'm going to use a different package, right? Or, oh, look, here it is, it's been solved. I need to do this as the workaround.
And thanks for reminding me about PDFX, because now every time I see any question in any revolving any of the 27 other PDF packages, I'll just say, have you tried PDFX? And then I can make them go away.
I don't want to be clear. This is about rendering and viewing PDFs. If you want to create PDFs, there's a package called PDF. And this is really interesting, actually. If anyone's not seen this, it has a widget system similar to Flutter to build.
PDFs are weird.
No. But this is interesting.
Yeah.
The idea behind the API. Let me see if I can bring it up here. Is you use align, alignment, like barcode, border. These are like widgets that you would have in Flutter, but the output is a PDF. So if you want a chart, you create one of these chart widgets, hand it over to its builder, and the output comes out in a PDF. It's just so nice.
Pretty cool. Yep.
Wow.
So
Especially
nice.
at least currently it's the easiest way if you would need to print something from Flutter. It's going over something like this. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, there's actually so this. I think I got my names mixed up here. But wasn't Sideshow. It was NFET. Sorry, NFET is the guy. So it's been around for ages anyway. But printing, he also runs printing, and printing does the same thing. This is about taking some.
Exactly, this was the one. This was really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he also does the barcode, and so if you're doing you want to display QR codes or barcodes, then you're going to be using barcode or barcode image. And these again are libraries that would do there's several of these things around, but
wow.
He uses them in his packages. But yeah,
it's amazing what's available in the meantime. It's really great.
PDF and PDFX. I'll have to remember both of those when people ask me all these crazy questions. So let's keep going here.
Yeah.
Next question, I think, is a two-parter. Oh no, Matthew Jones is asking. I need to implement the thing where 2FA, two-factor authentication text code is auto-filled with a text field. Does anyone have a preferred package? I'm looking at SMS autofill. Haven't done it before.
So I did one of these. Somewhere just called it was like number input but I did it back in the day, a long time ago. There's several packages like this. It's not specifically. It's not specific. Don't look for 2FA. Like there's also like number input, I think it is, or something like that.
Yeah, but I understand it that he's looking for something that automatically reads the SMS and extracts the data.
No, the platform does that for you.
Okay.
So don't go trying to do weird things with the SMS. Literally, it's done as a suggestion. You just you can literally make a text field in your app right now and put autofill hint dot two-factor code, I think it is, or something like this, 2FA code, or what's it called? One-time code, OTP. And it will, when you get the text message, it will just suggest it right there on the screen. And you just tap it and it goes in the box.
Oh.
And you can even, because you get hinted at that, you can even autofill that box yourself. You don't even have to, and take them to the next screen. So you don't even have to deal with it. It's kind of magical. But yeah, Flutter supports that built-in.
Hmm.
The point here is that if you want to do like now box, we have like big letter codes that come up on screen or some other weird funky thing. You need to do it. But yeah, if you just want a box that only takes numbers for input, you can just do a text field, put the input formatter as filter text formatting dot numbers only, digits only, or something. I can't remember what it is, and then limit its length to whatever the code is, like 6 digits or whatever. So they can either type it in and then put the autofill set to one-time password, and that's it. You're done.
Cool. All right, moving on. It's two-parter, and I already know what part of the answer is going to be. Can Flutter community assign some native developers, especially iOS, to Flutter Community Work Manager? It's been left quite behind compared to native Android Work Manager and iOS BGA refresh task, and there are many open issues without any update for a long time. 306 apparently is the count of the open issues. I hope that's what that number is. It's an area code or something. Yeah.
I mean,
somebody has to want to do it.
Yeah, send some iOS people our way, and then we'll get it done, right?
It's not like we magically have people just sitting around going, I'm an iOS developer, and these guys aren't calling on me to implement something. So no, we don't have people sitting around like that. None that I know of.
I do appreciate the question. If there's several other packages that are around the same sort of topic. This is another one that you could go use Flutter background. If I remember right, this works on. Oh no, iOS not supported. Well, I swear it was Flutter background. Was it maybe a Flutter background service? I forget. One of these. Maybe the one time I can't find it. One of them does support iOS and Android, and slightly newer.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Anyway,
there you go.
There are other packages. There are other packages, not just the
scheduled
one.
refresh tasks. It requires iOS 13 plus. Is that I think that was what he was just talking about. But no, like there's tons of these packages. Find one that suits. If I do want to, Work Manager is very specifically a Android named package about Android Work Manager, and it's kind of been iOS has kind of been slid in there to make it compatible with iOS. But we'll see if we can get just generally work background stuff is just difficult.
Yeah, but actually, I recently saw that in the Flutter docs. I think there's a new somewhere on background execution, and basically it's to create a new isolate, and this will continue working. I was really surprised that it seems it's so easy.
I want to see this. I don't think. I mean, there's a full page in the Flutter docs on backgrounding now. I mean, we were looking at this background, the background processes. I mean, this page.
Yep.
That's been there for a long time.
Which basically says use Work Manager.
No, wait. It's, but above these things, it's involves setting up an isolate. You set your isolate for background executing using callbacks and a callback dispatcher. So,
I mean, it's telling you through the basics of like what the process is, but there's not there's not an easy way. Again, there's still not an easy way of doing it, which is really annoying. Like
the platforms tend to want you to not really have background processes because it burns batteries and that makes them look bad. So the amount of stuff you get to do and when you get to do it is very specific and very narrow. And people keep thinking that these phones are like just platforms, but they aren't just platforms. They're platforms with a very specific design in mind, and you can't just run cron on them. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, on the other side, it seems that it's not that often used or required. Otherwise, we would see more work being done in this area, right?
Yeah. So yes, for sure. Yeah. Thomas, was it possibly this background isolate binary messenger? So this was basically added to the platforms to support running, allowing plugins to run in background isolates, so not requiring the the main Flutter isolate. So in your background callback, you can just call background isolate ensure initialized with the root token, and it means that you can basically spin. This allows you to spin up further isolates that can do background work with plugins, which wasn't possible until this came out, and this was quite recent.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that.
Okay, moving on.
Anyway.
What is the recommended way to exit a Flutter app? Don't on iOS. Don't on iOS for sure.
You shouldn't do it at all.
In the store, yeah, they won't. They won't let you. Is Google is a Play Store the same way? Are they both saying you can't have an exit? I know that iOS definitely.
I recall Hixie recently talking about this in a discussion about the calling this pose on the exit of an app, and he said, okay, certain apps, certain operating systems don't offer a legal option at all to close an app. You have to crash it if you want to do it on iOS, for example. Yeah. So actually, I don't. I don't know why. I mean, why would you like to do it?
Well, he actually says here the second bit. You missed that bit. Want the app to exit after finding devices jailbroken.
Okay.
He wants to forcefully close it. But
actually, why you could just show one page and say sorry, jailbreak, and don't do anything else. So why you have to call to end the app in this case?
Well, no. I mean, sometimes it's nice to in that situation to stop someone realizing that you detected a root device, saying sorry, we found a root device. Is this something you wouldn't do? What you want to do is just forcefully close to terminate the app. And in fact, Flutter does actually support this. Like Flutter, so Dart does have an exit process thing, process.current.exit, I think it is, or something like that. We could go dig it out. Is it platform? Was it platform? Process or platform? Something like that.
Just let it go to a loading screen and then stay there forever. That way they'll think something wrong with their network or their
exactly.
App. Yeah, not just a circular progress indicator taking up the entire screen. That's all you need.
So like and in you can do the same thing in iOS. You just call exit from Objective C. We'll run the C exit function, which basically is process termination. I'm trying to find it in. I know there is one, and that does exactly the same thing. Oh, funny enough, it's called exit. There you go.
So carefully hidden. We'd never think of that.
This tells you what the magical thing is. There's a special type here called never. Basically means you will never get returned from the function because it doesn't continue after this. Exit the Dart VM process immediately given this exit code. Does not wait for any asynchronous process to terminate or finally blocks the exit is therefore likely to lose data. Basically, it's a way of going goodbye. just immediately. Yeah. On Linux and iOS, normal code will be this. This is just on Windows. It's going to be this. Besides Dart itself. Yeah, so this is just
okay, but in the end, it crashes the app. Is this really a hard exit?
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to cause. But this is just a global exit function. You can just type exit and the code normally 0, and it's dead. There is actually a navigation system channel, which you can also send pop on. If you remember right, it's System Navigator pop. So you can also run this function, System Navigator.pop, and eventually you can see here. It actually says here, this method should be preferred to call over Dart.io's exit function, as the latter may cause the platform to act as if it has crashed. Whereas this is the correct way to exiting your Flutter instance, basically. Mm-hmm. And this will actually exit nicely. So this will like take back the tear it down nicely, basically.
I wonder what animated there does. Does it kind of fall over and put up a little daisy?
No. It's the same as hitting the back button on like your app when it's the last thing, right? Okay. It animates away. So this is just like the stand. This is basically the same as if the user hit the back button to leave your app, right? In Android or iOS, swipe it away or whatever, right? It's the same thing basically. So this is the last step that takes place.
Okay, cool. Hey, we're about a half hour left in the show. We've got 4 questions in the queue. Please get your questions in right now if you want to get them in, because we're going to cut off probably another 5 minutes or so. So jump on in there. And let's go with the next question here. Yeah, put Q colon in the front. Thank you. And there's that one pun snuck in quickly on that time. Anyway, so how to work with Realm in Flutter Web. The official plugin does not support web. What is
You
Realm?
won't be able, probably, because the Flutter plugin is a wrapper of a native library. So I don't think that's there's any way to get it.
I mean, I just did a quick Google, and there is Realm.js, so there's no reason why you can't make your own bindings. I mean,
Yeah.
assuming that the official Realm package is done as a federated plugin, you can just wrap their plugin interface to Realm.js.
Right.
Problem solved.
People have done that before.
Or just use ISAR, which supports web. And it's faster.
Cool. All right, moving on.
Whatever you want. But if the official package is supported, they should support it. So raise it as an issue with them on their official on the Realm repo for Flutter. And they could add support. They've done it already, right? So for native JS. So there's no reason why they can't add that support to their Flutter package.
Cool. All right, next question. I was used to using VSNet web forms, Visual Page Designer. Do you like to use the visual designers like Flutterflow or Perform to lay out pages via code? Currently, I do not use any visual designers. I like coding. Coding works, and then you're already done.
Interesting.
It's not like you build a thing and then you build another thing. You just build the thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. I've tried several of these like visual things, and they all spit out really shitty code, and I have to go through it anyway and fix it up, right, to actually make it performant or actually behave the right way in a responsive way and stuff like that. Which means you end up doing it yourself anyway. So I have used forms. I remember using Visual Basic and doing like all the form stuff, and you put your constraints in and make it stretch and all the rest of it. But to be honest, the way that you build a Flutter app with the declarative style UI, you literally write it as code and you see it. It's immediate with hot reload and hot restart. So there's no need for a visual editor, right? Because you are, by coding it, you see the visual output immediately.
Yeah. For me, the killing criteria was that they don't offer round-trip engineering. So I can't just edit the source code and get back into the visual designer. As long as that's not possible, I just wouldn't do it. That's
it's the biggest problem between. I have not looked at Flutterflow recently, so I've not looked at it since it very first came out. So a lot's changed since then. I think we should have him on the show and talk about this topic because I think it's quite interesting. But that whole topic of you do your visual editor, it generates some code. You want to change that code, and then visual edit it again, right? So let's say give an example. Let's say you do your page for a page in your app, displays a bunch of content, whatever, and that you had to put the code in there to download the content to then show it inside of your template kind of that you made in Flutterflow or whatever, right? And then you want to update your template and the way it does things. So you edit it in Flutterflow, but then you re-export it. And now, I don't say in Flutterflow, I don't know, but whatever. Now you have to take all the code that you put into the other one, like the custom logic, and now put it into the new one, right? Because you can't update the existing stuff because you've changed it. The same as if you had two developers working on the same code, you would have merge conflicts.
I think a better traction is going to happen because I've been starting to do this now that we have Copilot and things like that. Is going to be not working with something like Flutterflow, but having smart IDEs where you can say, give me a 4x3 layout of various values, and they're going to have these widgets in it. And so you can describe that and you get code, and then you can iterate with that code right away. And all the hot reload is still working right there too as well. I think that's going to be much better than investing any time in any of these low code or no code solutions. I think having stuff like Copilot Chat is going to be the right way to go. And there's future things that are going to be in that space for sure, because we're just going to be getting smarter and smarter, trying, or at least more hallucinating.
Actually, I'm surprised that there are so many different low code options
Yeah.
out there, and startups are trying to make a business out of this. But probably we are just not the right target group.
Maybe
I
not.
mean, at some point, I mean, a lot of these no code, low code solutions, I think you grow out. I feel like you probably grow out of them after a while, right? Like there's a point where you want to do something very specific that is not supported by their low code, no code, infrastructure or whatever. In which case, you stop using them, right, for that one thing,
Yep.
and you grow
I
out.
think it's also I think it's also the same transition that we made when we went from command-based interfaces to menu-based interfaces. It enabled a whole new class of users. But then as the menus got bigger and bigger, you spend more time going, where's the menu that does this thing? And how do I combine this thing over in this menu with that thing over in that menu? It starts just changing the level at which you have to be smarter. And it has the obvious gain that you're able to get simple things done easier, but more complicated things may not have the right menu entry for it, and you have to wait for a new release of the software to make something actually work. So that's me just sort of ranting and ranting.
I really think we should get. I should talk to them and see if we can get some of the Flutterflow guys on here, because I think it's an interesting topic to discuss.
Cool.
Right.
Cool.
What's next?
All right. And this may be a lead into any live coding we might be doing today. Are you going back to that chart animation code? There we go. English, Randall.
Chart animation code.
Were you doing on something that had chart? Maybe not.
I don't remember.
We've been doing WoW for so long. I forgot what the next thing was. The WoW.
I mean, yeah, the WoW. I mean, the shopping stuff, right? No,
right.
I feel like the chart rings a bell. Like, did someone request for like drawing a chart or something? I don't remember.
I don't. We have to go back occasionally and look at all of our previous shows and figure out what the heck we've ever talked about, because it's a little tricky sometimes. It's too bad it's not more heavily. Well, it is sort of indexed, right? Isn't there Google indexing on all of the things that one person's been putting in to their show? Never mind. Anyway,
segment selector, focus ring, sliver layout, loyalty cards, number input. Oh, we did do a number input. Oh, I've got a number input here. Maybe we did it for something else. Number animation was something we never finished. We could go back to that, I guess.
Oh, you have the Hall of Misfit toy projects.
Yeah, I'm just going through the list of all the little pages that we left. I don't remember.
Island of Misfit toy projects. Yes. We should have a show that's just picking up every project you started, and doing them all, solving them all.
I think every developer. I'm going to open this up to the floor to you guys. How many projects do you guys have that you've started and never finished, or how many projects do you guys have that are the never-ending projects that you've done?
At least 20. I can think of immediately. Yes.
How many domains do you have already registered for this project?
Not quite that far, but yeah. Well, I have 195 ideas for screencasts, so that's how far behind I am on those. I'm working on getting those out. I'm working on building shorts for a while, by the way, and I'm starting to do that. So please subscribe to my channel and watch my shorts.
Very nice. Yeah.
Right.
What a segue. Yeah. We don't know what this is then. We don't remember. Sorry.
If you've got any information for us, post it in the channel, and we'll take a look.
Yeah. Tell us about it. All right. Next thing. Here we go. Integrated Twilio programmable video. And then let me get detailed documentation. And as far as I know, nothing else was posted with a queue. So I have no idea if you actually did that or not. And I don't know. Maybe you want to follow up. If I missed your follow up, I'm sorry, because it didn't have a queue. But we'll do that.
This might have been around us. That might be around us talking about like generating the videos earlier.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe this Twilio programmable video is a thing.
And in fact, that next thing is actually probably related to it, which is this. So I'll let you answer that while I go do some bookkeeping.
Yeah,
Again,
actually, we will use it probably in our current project because we want to add the possibility that users can upload a video and then define a range that we really use. And to do this, we have to decode the video somehow. So probably FFI to MPEG, and then do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. They just like the real way to, if you need to do this on mobile, you need to use the mobile APIs from Android and iOS. You cannot use FFmpeg effectively and efficiently on mobile, full stop. They don't have, they use the CPU to do all the rendering. It literally it literally chugs through your battery and makes your phone turn into a hand warmer, right? It's just not worth it. It really isn't. If you want to make a nice application, especially if it's just trimming, like you're just saying, then that's a super simple thing to do. Also, you can do it server side, right? Like you can submit the video and then say from this start point to this end point, right? So visually on the screen, you show them the range, and then submit the range along with the video, and then when you get to the server does the hard work.
Yeah, but you have to be able to display a bar with the frames and to set the limiters. How would you do this?
So you can do a range scroll bar, and you can also sample. So there's actually a video thumbnail package which uses the native features of the operating system to capture thumbnails from video.
But this only captures single thumbnails, or?
Well, you said I thought you meant like to show like thumbnails on the bar. And then when you scrub, you just change the video. Use video player.
Don't know if it's really so easy.
I mean, it is.
Okay.
I mean, you're just doing a video player, right? And then when you change whenever you touch one of those the two range nodes on a range slider, right? You're just saying update the video player playback position to the position that I'm dragging it to. Right?
Yeah, okay, but you can't display a range. For example, if I upload with WhatsApp or Signal or something, you get this nice bar with thumbnails, and
yes,
you can then
do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. As I said, there's a package called Video Thumbnail, and it uses the native features of the operating system to capture thumbnails from video files. Yeah, video_thumbnail.
And I've cut off questions at this point. We have a few more minutes of the show. I've got about 3 questions in the queue. This is a follow-on to what we're just talking about. Some have already been answered. Packages to work with audio and video. Like not Flutter. Not Flutter because it can't run backend. What kind of backend Dart libraries?
Hey, mate. Why not Flutter? Because it cannot be run on server-side backend. Well, you can run. So this is all the stuff that's being worked on. Flutter is not designed to work headless. That is without a display. You can.
Flutter is UI.
It can. Exactly. It can be done where you're basically rendering to an off-screen GPU texture. And then that texture can be captured in the video, and that's what we've actually been doing inside the community for a while. But things aren't ready to go out yet. It's quite a complex, low-level issues, right, are involved in this. I mean, anything's possible, right? You know, it's code. You can edit it as much as you need to make it do what you want it to do, right? But yeah, as I was saying, Thomas, for your thing, video thumbnail means that you can like go at this point in the video, this percentage through the video, capture screenshot, capture thumbnail,
Yeah. I see.
You just put these little thumbnails in a row.
Yeah.
Behind your slider or something, right?
And you they use the underlying operating system. Okay, cool.
Yep.
I also learned something today. Good.
That's good. Good. That's what we want.
And this is a follow-up apparently to the other question, which is what Jessica said, the graph with the money a few weeks back. Does that ring a bell? I don't remember that. Graph with the money.
Like bell, but I can't graph with the money.
My excuses of getting old, but I don't know what your excuse
No,
is
this
for
was this is the number thing. This is when we had the numbers
Right.
that flipped as you
Okay.
scrolled. That was that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I do remember that because I had to bring up the tabular numbers thing so you could get the font size correct. Right.
Oh, probably. The
Yep.
cooking's working now.
You're saying something, Simon?
So,
Let's translate
Yeah, exactly.
from Simon to English. All right. Let's last question then. After this, let's go with this, and then maybe we'll find that and go do it, whatever it was. I want to use provider, two-parter here. I want to use provider to expose data without repeatedly passing it. Good. That's what state management's for. It will never change once created, so I don't need to listen to it. That doesn't
actually, then
sound-
it's just an location that you need, not even
yeah, that's right.
state
right.
management.
Yeah,
You can just get
there's a
it.
context- there we go. Give him your answer. Give him the spiel. Give him the pitch.
Yeah, you could just use Gedit. You register your object inside Gedit, and you can use it everywhere in the app, and you don't need any context for it. So if it's really just to provide data, just go with Gedit. Yeah.
We have the last question of the day is answered by our very special guest. This is awesome. This is perfect. This is like we planned this. This appears to have been wonderful, even despite that we actually didn't plan that. But yes,
It's true.
Get it. Why don't you talk a little bit about command for a second?
Actually, I could give you a short example for the how to use watchit. Which would be quite nice, I think. Let me see that I have here the right.
Want to share screen?
Moment.
Steph said, sounds like someone should
yeah.
go through all the streams and then create a GitHub list and put that on Flutter community repo. Yeah. I mean, we should the amount of content, but the problem here is just to go through all the content that we created and create indexes. And luckily we have a great guy in the community. I still need to get back to him.
Yeah.
Oh my God, is he here? I forgot his name. Oh no. I've
Yeah. I should know this too, but no, I don't.
Anyway. Christian Zephyr. Yeah. Zephyr.
Wave.
Yeah.
I like it.
Christian's been a long time viewer, and anyway, he's waving to us. Hang on, let's bring it up.
Yes.
There you go.
Yep.
He's been recording time codes and of when questions get answered, so that it's easy to skip to those certain places. So it's been really helpful.
There are some AI services that you can point them at a YouTube link, and it can give you like a 5 or 10 paragraph summary. And I'm wondering if we could set up some sort of ongoing service to do that, just so that it ends up as either part of the show notes or.
Here's the thing, you know the way that you have like a cobbler, or I know this is a very stupid thing, but let's say a shoemaker. They always have the worst shoes, or you have a mechanic. They always have the worst car. Yes, it's because they work on a good car mechanics work on everyone else's cars but their own, and it's the same thing for like us. Like, when do you get time to build your own stuff if you're building stuff for everyone else? Because at some point you're just like, I don't want to do my own stuff. I've done enough for everyone else.
Yes.
So it's really hard sometimes.
Children. The shoemaker's children. That's the idiom.
It's that kind of a lot in that extra time. But we should after every show, we could just make a script that auto creates the next stream ready for next week, and takes the video from last week and runs it through AI and does all this wonderful. We have the skills.
Instead, we created somebody manually creates it an hour before the show. If you guys want to know why you don't see the notification for this show being put into the playlist until just before the show, that's why. Because it gets created about an hour in advance, typically. So the way it goes.
I'm not trying to make you feel good, but everyone has the same thing. It's like everyone has every program. As we said earlier, everyone has 20 projects that are never ending, that never finish, or 100 different side projects that are always partially done because you move on. But the difference here is don't be weighed down by those things, because what you've done is you've built what's in here. You've built a skill set from doing all those separate projects and ideas and everything. You've built up and a vast amount of knowledge in your mind that you can call on for whenever you need to do something next.
Oh, here's reference there. It's at 16th August, 2:53 into the show. So there, we know right where it is, but we haven't been able to watch it to have the continuity for it, I guess. But or maybe next week. Yeah, right. Maybe next week we could finish this.
Okay.
Maybe.
Go on.
So if you let me share my screen.
Okay.
Yeah. We have this
Bigger.
this little app here with queries on Weather API. We have it updates. Actually, this is a simpler version than the official demo example app in the Watchit package, because this one really only uses Watchit and not the Flutter command. So what do we have here? We have important class.
Thomas, can you make it bigger a little?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's tiny, very tiny on people's home screens. Yes. All right.
Okay, so we have a manager class which is responsible for our data. So what we have here is we have two value notifiers. One is a value notifier with a list of weather entry. Weather entry is just the data class that we get from this API. And we have an additional value notifier bool is running because we want to have the busy spinner here. And as we make it nicely, we only export or we publish to the outside this as value listenables and not as value notifiers. So it can be only consumed but not changed from the outside. And we have a simple function. If we change the search field, this is the simple version, it will call the update function. And the update function does the first thing, it sets is running true. It does its HTTP call and some filtering, and assigns it to the weather entries value when it's done. And at the end, we do is running value false. Yeah, so that's our data object in this case. In main, this is pretty typical if you use if you work with Gedit. It's that that we have at the beginning some register function. Actually, I just see we are using we have Watchit, so I can just use the wait. It should directly use, yeah. We have in the Watchit package, we have a global Gedit instance called DI. So what we do, we register a singleton with a weather manager instance with the type weather manager. That's the important thing. When you register an object in Gedit with this type, you can access it everywhere, independent on what type the implementation is. Yeah, so that's an important point. Yeah, and in our homepage now, what we do is, in this case, we actually, this is also still stateful because it's not. I did some changes. We extend the stateful widget with the Watchit stateful widget mixin, and with this, we can have here at the beginning, we use the watch value, which is the function that we are using to watch a value listenable inside an object that is registered inside Gedit. Yeah, so we pass here the type that we know we have inside Gedit, and this is an selector function that returns the actual property inside the weather manager that we want to observe, that we want to watch. So when this build function runs, it will return the current value of this running, and at the same time register a hook that every time this changes, it will automatically rebuild the build function. And you are done. That's all you have to do if you want to make sure that we use this here, the is running, that we show the progress indicator. Yeah. So this is it's pretty straightforward. It's just a stack with the list view, and if it's running is true, we show this this case. So instead of using a value listenable builder, we just do at the beginning of the build function the watch call. And if you look into the list view, we do here the same thing. In this case, we do a watch value on the weather entries property of the weather manager, and just use the returned list weather entry inside our list view builder. So again, we don't need to use any value listenable builder to update our UI to make our state management. It's very straightforward. And that's basically, you have different watch functions for different types that you want to observe. You can use watch stream, watch future, and yeah, that's basically watch it. You register your object inside Get It, and then you watch it inside your widgets. So that's a pitch. And the nice thing is, what we did here with the separated is running and the weather entries, this all is combined in the Flutter command package. If you want to use the same, see the same with a Flutter command, you would just see a Flutter command and not any is running on something like this.
I'm frozen or just deep in thought. Oh, he's moving.
No, I'm trying to get things set up for the live code. So.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Cool.
Oh yeah. No, thanks for.
I guess. Yeah.
All right. So we're doing live coding. We're going to finish that animation. Is that what?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Cool.
I stop sharing.
Sure.
So yeah.
If you have any questions, please come back in 166 hours, unless it's about what you're about to see with Simon with live code. Then you immediately go to the front of the queue and will be answered probably within seconds.
So let's see.
Okay. Please remember to put Q colon in front of the questions anyway, just so I can pay attention to them. Otherwise, it's you all chatting amongst yourselves, and I don't really care sometimes.
So
I care.
Yeah. So we started looking at this. So there was a tweet. If I can find the tweet, bear with me.
Oh, we do have a question for Thomas here. Hold on. Thomas, you can
yeah,
answer
well,
this.
I have that come through. So yeah, just want to briefly. Yes, so this tweet came out about someone doing some content transitions in Swift.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, hang a second, Tom. Sorry. So let me just walk through this and then. Yeah. So anyway, so it was doing this chart and animation of the numbers, basically, is what we were like playing around with before. But all right, let me give you the stream and then if I can find the button. Sorry. There we go.
Okay, we'll just we'll do this question real quick, and then we can go back to looking at your code.
Yeah. In general, that's true. We shouldn't use global single.
Can we read
I thought those state shouldn't be global singletons, but it looks like Get It, they are included in a global service. Indeed, Get It is the one point that is global, and that manages all your registered objects. So in general, it's not a good idea to have a lot of global singletons, because there's no you have no central point of entry, I would say, and you can't, for example, do things like with Get It that you can push a new scope with with different implementation of the same type, or you can switch implementations at runtime. But in the end, you need some point where you can reach in. So if you use the context is in a way your anchor point, yeah. And in general, it's absolutely fine if you use something like Get It. Actually, for very simple apps, it's nothing wrong just to use a global variable. It's really the case. It's if it's a very, very simple one-page app, don't worry about something like this.
All right.
Cool.
Cool.
All right. So coding.
Yes. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's do this. That's better.
Cool.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully everyone's getting that. So yeah. So
Simon, first I have to say I have to leave you now. I have
No
to
worries.
see. I have to check what the dog did in my absence in our living room. So I hope he was tired
Behaved.
enough from today's daycare. So yeah, but it was really fun to be there, and maybe I can come
Right.
back on another time. Yeah.
Sure.
Anytime.
Okay.
Anytime.
Bye.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks again.
Bye, Thomas.
Bye.
Cool.
So
All right.
I'm gonna take the earbuds out.
Okay. It's like taking off your shoes once you get home. You know, it's like, all right, I'm not wearing shoes now.
It's just because I haven't been for so long. I feel like
Yeah.
even if they're the right size, like it's
Yeah. I won't say the brand name, but these rather expensive things in my ear. Actually, the most comfortable I've ever worn. It's actually not bad for 2 or 3 hours at a time. So yeah. Just say.
Right. So I'm using IntelliJ here for those that don't know the IDE. It's all been a bit blown up because I've changed the sizes of everything to make it easy to
And
read.
what's your theme? They're going to ask, what's your theme? They always ask that in the next 5 minutes. So what is your theme?
Well, I actually playing around with this other day. So I'm actually using one. I actually got a plugin to do one dark. It's called one atom material icons.
Ooh.
I think there's like one theme or something. Atom themes. One dark theme. There you go. And there's also material theme UI, which I use to tweak a few things. But yeah, and I've got a background that I made. That's what these diagonals are. That's a background just to break it up a bit. Anyway.
Yep. All right.
Right.
Just had to get that out of the way because I know somebody's going to ask it like in about 5 minutes if I didn't actually ask it already. So yeah, thank you, Simon. On with code.
Yeah.
The stuff that matters, not the stuff that doesn't really matter, but people get.
So we
really
started working on
weird
this
about
rolling number animation, which is which is pretty heavy. It's kind of like I'll be honest, I'm not interested in doing this right this second because I can feel like it's going to be a pain and take a while. However, I feel like maybe we could do the chart if we were interested. We could continue with the chart and then get to the animation maybe a bit earlier in next week's stream in terms of the number animation. It's not far off, but yeah, we've been going a while. So let's play around with a chart and then see if we can replicate this. Maybe this warrants a command line IDE theme or something. There is actually Luke Pighetti actually uses a CLI command, a CLI IDE. In other words, a command line interface IDE. So it's text mode IDE, and that's apparently a popular thing as well. You can do that. So, all right. Yeah,
I think he was meaning a bot that would automatically answer that in the channel instead of us having to answer it manually every time. That's okay.
Right.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I'm also let's do this. Let's do this. Right. So all right, so we got this home idea. Let's move this down and call this what is this like? This was actually like the rolling number display or the slider. Let's replace. Let's rename that. Let's rename this to
Rolling number demo.
And we'll make a new home widget for now. That's going to take over. So we should get a blank screen. Yay. All right. So material. So I guess like we're talking about this chart. There is actually chart packages, but I do want to show how you do something like this because people are always asking this kind of thing. So first of all, I'm just going to do a simple layout here. So we'll just say this is a black screen with oh my goodness me. Oh, we're on desktop, so it's probably going to be like something stupidly huge. Yeah, let's do whenever you write column, just write save yourself some trouble, cross-axis alignment stretch. Thank me later. Right, so we'll have text total net profit. Profile. Profit. All right, and we'll do another text with our sort of dollar amount. For those that here's a little thing for everyone. For those that don't know, when you write a dollar, because that's a reserved character, we're going to get an error here. For example, you can either put a slash before your dollar sign and it escapes it. That's what turns orange here. Or you can put an R in front of your string. It means it's a raw string, which means you don't get any of the string interpolation. This can be really helpful, the R in front, if you're doing a regular expression. So the R means that you don't get your regular expression, special characters don't get confused with escape characters or dollar signs or whatever they're in part of Dart. So, and there's also, for those that don't know, you can actually do triple quotes. That is strings that last over multiple lines. So I can put a string in here for text with triple quotes like that, and that's completely valid because double, it can also be triple double quotes, as it were. Makes sense. Like so, you get three double quotes in the line.
This can be raw too, which is really weird. You put an R in front of that.
Yeah.
And the trailing new line counts, but the leading new line doesn't.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I really wish I really like doing the multiple line stuff, but the problem is it includes all the tabs, like, up until I feel like I almost want it to like exclude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To the point at which your indent goes to, so that you can actually still have stuff indented in multiple lines of strings. But
this was a problem in both the shells and in Perl initially, which was that here documents, the less than, and some end word, when a shell would grab all that as one piece of text. The indent was always a mess, and it's exactly your problem. But Perl eventually introduced the idea of the first line being considered the indent, and then automatically subtracting that from all the remaining lines as a possible technology there. And I think one of the shells did that too. Or I might have it backwards. It might be the shell did it and then Perl didn't. Oh man, my Perl friends are going to hate me now because I can't remember the way that was. I think you put a minus. It's like less than minus in a keyword. Where did I see that? Okay, I'm getting old. That's what it is. I'm only one Google search away from getting the answer, though. That's the important one. Yes. No, R does not mean regular expression. It actually meant raw string, which was typically used in regular expressions.
R means raw.
Yep, raw. Yep.
Okay,
Alright.
so we got a basic layout here. Let's do. I'm going to do some. Do you know what? I feel like I want something that we don't have a widget for. I just realized.
What's that?
So I'm looking at this. I kind of want to
Right.
go off topic on this because I feel like it's an interesting one. So right now, I want to scale my desktop, my desktop view on the left, to be more like a mobile view. Right? I want to apply a scale factor,
Mhm.
but I want to apply that scale factor not to the font but to the layout. Now, what I mean by that is if you apply a scale factor to a widget. So, for example, let me just show you here. Right.
Right. No, I hear where you're going, but yeah, keep explaining for the audience.
Sorry.
I said I hear where you're going, but I bet some of the audience members are still lost. Yes.
Yeah. So let me just show you. So what I mean is, so if you do a transform scale, what you're saying is, let's put a scale in there of, I don't know, 2 times, right? That's going to scale the painting. So as you can see, it got larger. And let's put alignment. But it still laid it out as if it was the original size. So look, I've painted it larger because of the scale, but it's not in the screen bounds anymore, right?
Right.
And if I override the default, actually it would be media query. Sorry, media query. If I wanted to be a naughty boy and override, I think. Do you know what? I was looking at this the other day, and I swear there was a delta scale factor, but I might have been a master.
There is something that you can do. It's font size, font scale, font something.
I think it's.
But not for the overall though.
Well, the thing is, this is going to be over. Here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do material here, and then wrap with default text style merge. Is it in here? Text with basis style. Let's have a look. I've forgotten where they put this new one.
Yep.
Delta. No. Text.
And there's a relevant question when you have a break here.
Yeah. So I think let's undo that. Undo. Yeah. So media query is one way of handling this, but this is a really shitty way of doing this. And don't do this in production. So this is this is bad. Copy with. Is this the one that has delta scale? No, I don't know where that is. I swear I saw it somewhere. Maybe it's a new feature coming out. I forget. Do you know what? It might be an upcoming feature. I just remember where I think I saw it. Is on the feature breaking changes. Okay, so after a little bit of finagling right there, this is a really, really shitty way of doing this, but 12 is ridiculous. Sorry. Right. So there you go. So that's what we've done there is we've increased the font size and we've increased the rendering, but it's laid out off the screen. So how can we achieve? The question I've got in my mind is how can I scale something, but scale it based on its layout size and not its rendering size? Does that make sense?
So you want the placeholder to be stopping at the right edge of the screen.
I want to be this big, but for the entire widget to be in the bounds of the screen.
So if you had media query lie about the width and height of the device, you could do that. So all you need to do is do a media query data that has the correct width and height reverse scaled.
It wouldn't do that. Because media query, it doesn't alter the fact that when you lay it out, it lays out a certain size.
But I'm saying if you tell everything else that you've only got 30 pixels instead of 500.
No, but what I could do, let's say for example, the height gap between total and the placeholder here, right? At the moment it's 16, so I could just do times scale factor, right, or some other magical number and have a global, right? Great. But
Oh,
there might be
okay.
widgets out of my control. There might be material widgets or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I could make this that factor could be based off of media query width divided by 12 or
Yeah.
column factor, right? But again, it still doesn't really like imply that I'm just trying to arbitrarily scale some of the UI.
Yeah.
So I mean, people understanding this, are they interested in this little problem?
I still think you could do it by having a transform, but wrapped around that,
I know how to do
changing
it.
the
I think
width
I've
and
got an
height.
idea.
Yeah, change
I've
the
got an
width
idea.
and height to be smaller.
I think you can't do it with media query because you have to analyze media query, right? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't change changing the media query doesn't change how big Flutter's going to lay out your widgets. Media query is just a reporting of what the platform tells it. It doesn't change.
Right, but I'm saying do both the transform and a media query. So change the total pixels
the
and
media
also
query
change.
doesn't change. Well, I'll show you. I mean, let's just do it. And literally, right here, if I override,
I mean, doing both of those though. I
it
think
won't
you
change
put
it.
both those
You
together.
won't change it. Watch. So in here, if I put size and just give it a different screen size of, I don't know, 10 by 10 pixels.
Right. But isn't that what the rest of the app now realizes, the
No.
size of the device?
Nope.
Where can you change the size of the device such that the rest of the app pays attention to?
But here's the thing. I'm trying to say that it doesn't work that way, right? Like it comes down as the root size of the area that it's trying to draw to. You with me?
Right. But somewhere it has to ask for that, and somewhere you can override it. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, well, you can change your you can change your view configuration, but again, that's not what I'm trying to change here. Like I'm saying, like a portion of the UI. Let's just say portion of the UI. How do you do this for a portion of the UI?
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to get at. So anyway, so first of all, media query, just now forget that. Transform scale, kind of forget that. So first of all, let's go back to how we want to be laid out normally. So we want that, but just to be bigger, right? So what I'm thinking is should we call this like, I feel like this should be in the framework.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's a widget called scale and I don't know about it. I mean, maybe.
I can look while you're typing. Here we go.
All right. Well, I don't see one. We're going to make a new widget called scale, and if we'd like, I feel like there might be reason to put this in the framework. So maybe we can post a PR.
Scale properties, scale methods. No, there's no scale class. You actually won. You win.
All right. So we basically wrap our. Forget our outside bit. Let's just wrap the card in our scale widget. I mean, could wrap it all. Let's wrap it all. Don't worry about it. Let's just wrap the entire home screen here in scale. And we want to make everything 2 times the scale, right? That's how we want our widget to be used, right? Nice and simple. Okay, so first of all, we're dealing with layout and rendering, which is part of the render object tree. So this needs to be extend single child render object widget, which means this needs to pass over the child widget to the class underneath. We can actually change it to super.child. We're not going to handle that directly. The underlying render object widget stuff does it for us. And then again, when it comes to the way we create it, we create a missing render object. All right, so then we want a class render scale. So the simplest widget is render proxy box. Simplest render object, and we're going to pass over our scale, and then we want a update function to update our scale if it changes. So that is about as simple a render object as you can get. So it's a simple sort of render object widget. Then what we're going to do, we're going to have our we need a value to hold our scale in here, and we want to make sure that we have a getter for that scale. It's always good to have that. Now, the key reason for doing this is that when scale is set, we want to redraw the screen, right? So set scale double value, and then we say if our existing scale number is different from the one that we're getting given as new, then we want to set it. You could say if it's equal. This is kind of another compact. It's called a guard statement, right? So if they're equal, we return. We don't want to do anything. Otherwise, we want to set our value and say mark needs layout. Okay, that will tell the render object to call the perform layout function, relay out this and all its children and so on.
Oh.
Here's our perform layout, and we also want a paint function. So, yeah. Let's just do this. Right. So now we've got a basic render object. If I run this right now, hopefully we see no difference, right? So we're wrapping our home widget with our custom render object. That does nothing. Great. It did nothing, which is what we want. So let's just check our, yep, it hot reloaded. Sorry, it's behind. It hot reloaded, no errors. So I think it means we're good to go to the next bit. So, okay, so first of all, how do we scale our paint? So on the underlying system, it's basically doing this, right? Which is saying, do we have a child? Then paint that child. So what we can do, it's really interesting. Oh, this child, yeah. Ah, it's casting as a render box. Was that the difference here? Hang on. Yeah. All right. So this goes off and basically calls the paint method on that render box and goes down the tree and so on and so forth. Won't go into boring stuff. However, what we want to do is scale the rendering. So if we want to do what the original transform does, we can go look at how it does it. There's an optimal way to do this and a shittier way of doing it. I'm pardon my French, but I'll show you one way. So basically, transform.scale constructor builds a transformation matrix. This is what this is here: matrix diagonal 3 with our scale number. Then that's passed to this underlying widget, which, fun enough, render transform. And render transform, if we go down to what happens inside of here, we dig down deep, we should find here's its paint method. And get as translation, this is effective transform, blah, blah, blah. Forget child offset there for a second. Image filter matrix, image filter layer. There you go. And it pushes that layer. So that's the magical thing that's doing with the rendering. So there's no reason why we can't do the same thing. So this is basically saying, I'll show you what this is doing in a second. And then layer, let's go grab that from the other code. So it's saying here, if we already have one, update the filter, otherwise make a new one. So we'll do the same thing in here. So each render object has a layer it's attached to, and this is just basically saying updating that layer that it references. So effective transform, we're always positioning at 0, 0, so we don't need that. We don't need to multiply. We don't need to do this. So it's just the transform. So in this case, we can get away with a diagonal transform. The copy it? I think I copied it. Yeah. So we can just do this. So scale, scale, scale. This is how we get our transformation matrix transform here. And we can get rid of all this other nonsense in here because we don't need that. We don't need that. And we're now down to creating an image filter using our transform, and we should be able to use the default filter quality. Now, what it wants 3 values, does it? Sure. Oh, that's a good point. Anyway, so the UI here is normal common practice if you're doing Dart UI to bring it as a alias. So we'll do the same thing. So, right, filter quality, low. That's a good question, actually. I wonder what the default filter quality is for a render transform. I guess it's low because it's not been specified. Ah, no, it's coming in from outside. I mean, flip is null, scale is null. Okay, that's interesting. Well, we'll leave it off for now. Let's leave it on the default, which was filter quality low. That was the default, right? Yeah. All right. So now we've got a image filter. This just plugs it into the layer or overrides it. So that should, if I hot restart, we get an error. Oh yeah. What did I do? Oh yeah, UI prefix. Sorry, that's me. Right. Restart. Yay. Okay, it's twice the size now. Right? But it's still not on the screen. Right? It's still too big. But I'm thinking if we can now lay out our widget, let's go up here. If we can now lay out our child widget to our scale as if the size was half its size, so the inverse transform, inverse scale, should I say, then we should be able to be on size, be on the screen the right size, but be twice the painted size. If that makes any sense at all. Right. So I'm thinking we should be able to call our perform layout of our child. So I guess let's do that and see what happens. So we want to, I guess we want to transform our constraints. So we want to make new constraints, scaled constraints, and equals box constraints. And what the hell happened there? And I guess we're going to want to take our current constraints that we've been given and overwrite each one of these. Let's see what happens. So constraints dot min height. So we want to say the inverse scale, right? So let's do that. Is that 1 divided by scale? Sounds right.
Probably.
It sounds about right. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
What can go wrong?
That is inverse, yes. Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see that. Oh, and I see what you're doing as a widget. You can't do it in media query. I totally get it now.
Good, good, good.
Yes, it makes sense to me. Ship it. Ship it.
Now, we're going to max width. All right. So let's get rid of that. So the idea here being that we're going to render it twice the size, or render whatever the scale is, and then we're going to lay it out at a smaller scale, right? A smaller size. Therefore, when it renders, it's broken. Dun, dun, dun. More I'm wrong. Has size. Yeah, that's me. Maybe. I don't know. Let's find out. No.
Well, you got more text.
Not set size during layout. Ah, yes. Size equals child.size. Is that what I need to do? Sounds about right. What was the super doing? Let's go back to the original. Size equals, yeah. My bad. Yeah. Oh, it worked. It worked. It's broken, but it worked.
How is it broken?
Well, I mean, I've got these lovely render semantics annotations does not meet its constraints.
Oh, no semantics.
Okay, well, that's interesting. So, render offstage does not meet its constraints. It's basically saying that no, this is interesting. We now need to take this and scale it back up. Because our widget size is large.
You go through the shrinker grower phases. Yes.
Okay.
Right. You have to invert everything. You got to reverse the polarity. It works for Doctor Who.
Right.
Reverse the polarity.
Exactly, and this is annoying. So it's doing exactly what it wants, but what it's saying is that our widget size see that shouldn't actually that shouldn't make a difference.
Okay.
If we set our size, if we set our it's definitely done exactly what I want, which is great. So if we go back up and change our scale to 1, it should be back to the original size. There we go. And then we just keep going at 1.5, 2.0, 2.5. I mean, that's doing exactly what I want. So that's nice.
Yeah.
I think the problem here is expectation the platform has. This is annoying. So we've been given constraints to our scale widget, right? So if I make this 1.5, let's say.
Yeah.
And we're basically saying, yeah, the constraints we're given are tight constraints, but we're making ourselves smaller. So it says you can't do that, right? Because you're outside the constraints. Which is actually fine in our case, because so if we were to render ourselves bigger, so that is coming back to this, we set ourselves to the scale we lay out our child to the smaller size, right? This is this size here, which is actually smaller. Let me just show people what we're actually doing here if people are confused here. So if I get rid of the paint here that's filtering on the paint and we restart, what we're actually going to see is what we're doing. This is the magic. So you actually can see what we've done from the original is if I make it if I change it 1.0, just so you can see. So here's the original. And we go 2.0. What we're doing is we're saying half the width and half the height is available to the widget now. So as you can see, it renders smaller. Sorry. Actually, it lays out smaller, but then we scale up the rendering so it fills up the original space again. So the idea here is that you've got less space to lay out, but more space to draw, which
Right.
effectively means you're scaling the layout and the painting. Wacky, I know, but that's the way it works. So the problem, I think, right now is the fact that this is what he's complaining about here, is that we were given tight constraints of, sorry, let me bring it up, 613 by 478, and the size that we returned for our widget was 306 by 239, which is smaller, which does not meet the requirements of these constraints. That's the problem it's having. Now, if we say we can just do this, constraint.biggest, right? This is a really shitty thing to do, but just bear with me. This means that now it is doing the correct thing, and that is it is saying our widget's reported size is this big. I just realized what the problem is. Super's in there. That's it.
Oh.
That was where I left the super in there. I was right. Well, this shouldn't be happening. All right. So back to where we were. Basically, what's happening now is we report ourselves as being bigger, but we render smaller. Our child's smaller. It's the same as on a line. If we were to position our child where it's smaller within the bounds of the parent. Anyway, now that what we want to do is child size times scale. This basically we report the correct sizes as required.
Yep.
Good, no errors. Now we put our painting back on. Exactly what I wanted. Finally, I have a widget that does this.
Wow. Ship it.
Right.
Wrap it up. Put it. Add docs. Add tests.
I know, right?
Get AI to add docs and tests. AI can do it for you.
So
I'm told we can. I'm told it's taking over.
It's interesting. It says low on the image quality. I feel like if we're going to put that in there, we should probably parameterize that. What is high? I mean, it looks fine to me on low. So what's high?
Can't tell
It
from
looks
here.
exactly the same to me. I wonder if it's images. If you're scanning up images, it's like the photo quality is given to images.
Oh,
probably.
Do a 0.5 and see if it scales down properly. That would be cool.
Oh, it should do, shouldn't he? Oh, yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah. You can get thumbnails from this.
Oh, yeah, that'd be interesting. Let me just add a parameter here for filter.
Slider. Make a slider that goes bigger and smaller.
Could do that. Yeah. That might be fun. Let's do that. Yeah.
We like sliders. We like animate it. So as you drag it, it then zooms into the new space.
Totally off topic.
Just need to animate a container and a value set by a slider, and then have a 1 second delay to update the value to the new value. Yeah. Ship it.
Let's do this.
I didn't think I'd get this excited today. This is great. Maybe I'm just this loopy. It's possible.
All right. So now I've got another filter quality. We're just doubling up on that. We can now set this as nullable. So it's optional. Bring it over into here.
I'm definitely going to want this in a gist. Actually, I want it in a pub. I want to be able to just install this.
Oh, we can put it in pub. We can publish it right now if you want.
No, you got to add documentation and tests.
No, you don't.
Version 0001+1.
Let's see.
Just be sure to reserve the name. Yeah, just call it scale. Let's see how many people download it based on that.
Is the name used? Do we have it available to us?
Oh, let's see if pub scale actually has a name. Yeah. I know there's no widget name scale. I'm not No, there's nothing named scale exactly. Oh, look at this.
That's it. We got it. We should call it that. There you go. Job done.
Let's call it scale. Yes.
Does what it
As
says on the
seen-
tin.
as seen on TV. Yes.
Exactly. We have the phrase "does what it says on the tin" because you'd buy paint.
Yes.
And then, like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, no, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Ron- It was a thing. It was a product that called Ron Seal, which is like wood sealer. You paint on your fences and stuff.
Right.
And the slogan does what it says on the tin. It seals
Oh,
wood.
Oh, there's a non-OSI approved thing called scale. That's why I didn't find it before. I have my search for pub automatically set OSI approved. So I didn't see it. 3 years ago, unknown platform, version 003. I think it's abandoned. You should be able to take the namespace over.
Right.
Unknown
So-
license, unknown producer, yeah, unverified uploader, could be spam, could be a virus. We don't know any of these things about their scale. It's got a nice picture though. You can use their icon. They're not
actually,
going to care. Yeah, go ahead and take their icon.
Oh, actually, I have an I just remember an announcement I need to give out to people.
Oh, and look, no. Their package description is a Flutter package to help you scale your design on bigger or smaller screens to achieve the same design look. It's exactly what you're doing.
The way that I've seen people do it though is just really, really bad.
Yeah, I know. Oh, they put extensions on like digits, 50.sv. Yeah, no, this is the other thing. Scale font 17. No.
Yeah, no.
This is the wrong way. This is not using proper rendering. Yes.
I mean,
And why don't I drive the
what-
coding
what-
session?
what-
Because
what-
Simon's so much better at it. That's why I don't drive the coding session. It's Simon. I'm the color commentary. I don't have anything to do with the coding skills. I'm just here to comment on what Simon's doing.
That's not bad going, right? To do that in 95 lines, 94.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible. Ship it. Yeah, really. Make a gist out of it. Make it so I can import it.
All right, so let's point into here for a second. All right, so it should be able to. Should we try the 0.5 and then put a? Oh my gosh, it worked!
Let me. It's up in the top of the screen. I can't see it.
Oh, it's there. It's teeny tiny because like 75. Let's do 75. Right?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh. I think we got fractional problems, have we?
Whoa. Fractional?
How
Why
are
is it
they
fractional?
not positioned? That's interesting.
Mm-mm.
Oh no, this is rendered. Does not meet its constraints. It
Oh.
says it meets its constraints right here. I tell you what we have here.
Constraints right here.
Exactly what we got here. This is a problem. Is one of rounding because we're doing scaling to like fractional numbers. The output can end up when we scale it back up here. This output, based on we're scaling down and then back up again, we actually lose precision.
Yes.
So on like 0.0003, right? But the check in the debugger does not check for like just 0.1 difference. It checks for exacting differences.
Right.
So I have a feeling the answer we want here is constraints dot constrain size this. That ensures that the size that we calculate is constrained by the original constraints correctly. So this should also avoid that error, hopefully. Yeah.
Okay.
The hot restart, no errors, great. And then we'll change the size, and we'll actively change the size back again to 0.5. See, that I'm changing that number, and we should be seeing it change on the screen, and we're not. So I did something wrong here. I think I should not need to do this, though, I'm pretty sure. But maybe I think what's happening here is
It doesn't need to be relayed out because it's going to be the same child.
oh no, it does because it's been laid out to a different scale size.
Yeah. Okay. I get it.
But but it shouldn't be restart. Let's do a restart. 0.5, 1.0, save. That's interesting.
Mm.
I think we've reached, I think what we're doing right now, somewhere in the platform is optimizing our stuff out because it thinks it's the same size. I think we're seeing an optimization problem here. That's, I mean, honestly, we're doing a proxy box, which is not really the best way of dealing with this. We're also not scaling hit testing, which we should also do. Actually, let's just see what happens. Let's put a button. Do we have a child on a placeholder? So, yeah, child center. So we put an elevate button. That's me.
This is the other reason I'm not doing the live coding, because I type funny too.
I see. You leave it to me, dear.
Yeah, you can take all that typing stuff. Well, you still are capable of doing things that I definitely cannot do with my editor yet, which is like you can cut, I don't know how you do it. You cut an entire chunk of text to an entirely different place, you plop it in, and you don't spend the next 4 minutes trying to match up parentheses. I don't know how you do it. It always works for you when you cut and paste.
So
I've got to get the.
So here's an interesting one. Look, press me. It is working. It's in the middle.
Yeah.
Right on the X, right? So now if we scale this to 1.5 and hot restart, not clickable anymore. If I click here, if I can click, no, hang on.
Probably 1.5 times over. Oh no, it'd be the other direction. It'd be the smaller direction.
Is it? Somewhere my click will hit through.
Yeah, right.
Right. It may not even work out that way, right? Like it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so basically,
translating hit tests. Hit tests aren't matching through correctly.
Hit test. It's hit test children. Actually, I think is what I'm looking for. Let's go see what Proxybox does. Yeah, hit test on the child is basically what we want to do. Hit test is like, do we hit test on ourselves? And the answer to that is no. It should be false, probably always. Does size contain position? Hit test the children. Okay, so we're going to need to, that's obviously going to be false because we report a different size. We need to scale this size before it continues. So yeah, we're going to actually change that as well. So that's fine. We can do it. So first of all, hit test children. Let's get that in there, what it does. And then our hit test function, and ignore the assertion, is just this, right? Oops, where are we? So pop that in there. So first of all, this little first bit here is basically saying, does this widget contain the point that the person's trying to click on? And the answer would normally be false, but we need to scale that size, right? So size here is the actual size that our widget is. So we need to say scaled, again, we'll do a final scaled size is size times scale. Divide scale, no wait, inverse scale. Is it inverse scale? I feel like it is. We'll find out. So we can put a print statement here and say in. Yeah, we're in bounds. In bounds for position. In scale size. All right. Let's see what we get. There you go. So, so moving the mouse up, by the way, is doing, because it does hover states, right?
Yeah, hover, yeah.
They're saying the position of the mouse, is it in bounds of our parent? And the answer is. So here's the thing. This should be hit test. This should work on the entirety of the widget that we're on, but it's stopping here. Right? Again, it continue in the bottom half down here. So that I don't think is right. Because our size is larger, right? And the child's
Simon, I got a break coming up here because I got a hard out. So
no worries. No worries.
Anyway, I will have to watch the playback to see how you finally solve this problem. But anyway, hello everybody. Bye everybody. See you next week. And in 2 weeks you won't see me because I will be going through hip surgery, so I won't be back online for a little while. But I'll be here next week, so I'll see you all then.
See you then.
Push the button, Frank.
Okay, so false. All right, so hit test children. Again, though, if I click, we're not clicking the right place because our child, our position that we send across the child needs to be scaled, basically. We'll work this out. Hang on. So does this work is the question. It looks like it. Let's get rid of that other extra paint. Did we get this right? So okay. So I think what's happening here is we don't actually need to worry about this hit test. We're not actually doing anything there. Yeah. So now, even when it's scaled, our hit testing is working correctly. Cool. So I wonder if inverse scale should just be a getter. Makes more sense, doesn't it? Okay. All right. What we're doing? Yeah. So we've got scaling working, and we've solved our bugs in this. I think looks like it's working to me. This way, if I'm doing stuff on a stream and I want to share something in a larger size, this is kind of really nice thing to have, right? Are you using get sets to make it into a package, or is it? No. So you mean for the getters and setters down here? These getters and setters are used so that we can override. We can do these things here, which is marking the fact that it needs to be laid out if the value changes. In fact, that is a bug. Okay, so for some reason, we're changing our value. And it's not getting its way down, not making its way down to here. So let's see what's going on. So let's see. Scale 1.5. Okay. And change it to 1.7. Hit save. Interesting. I was not expecting that. Oh, you know what? No, it's my fault. It's my fault. I'm putting run app. It's because it's in run app. So run app is being run once in main. It doesn't get affected by build and hot reload. This is expected. It's one of the reasons why you make a widget for your app at the top level, right? So if I run a builder in here, though, this would achieve the same goal because the builder functions are being rerun correctly. So it's not our widget. It's not top optimization. This is expected behavior, should we say? Right. Why was I saying child? That's not child, it's home. So let's try this again. All right, restart. Right, 1.7, edit 1.5, hit save. Oops, I pressed the wrong button. I close it. Yeah, I closed it. All right, let's try it again. 1.0. All right, I know I'm pretty sure this is the issue. So let's put scale at the top level here. 1.7. Get rid of it from here. Oops. Right, try this again. Restart. 1.7, great. 1.0, save. 1.0, 1.5, save. 1.5, perfect. Okay. So that is a great solution. Okay, cool. What was the hell we did before I went off the track? I was trying to do that thing below, wasn't I? What time is it? I think we'll wrap up in a minute. I'm gonna take. What did we work on last week? I don't know. Ring. Does that have a? There we go. Let's grab that. If anyone wants to play around with this scale, I'll pop it up in the gist. Oh yeah. Sorry, Sub. Thanks. Yeah, I said about an announcement. No, so I was talking to Hillel, who has been working on It's All Widgets, which is a nice way of people to submit Flutter applications they built, and you can view all the Flutter apps that have been built. People just submit them right as they're working on an app, which is great. And we built up. I say we mainly Hillel as part of the community. There's a bunch of us that have been backing this and working with it. You see, there's Thomas, myself, a few of the others, and Hillel, and we actually had an event stream. So we had streams, which is a way of what are the streams that are currently coming out, like the ones that we're doing. We also had flutterevents.com. I'm going to go there right now. If you notice, it takes a long time to load, and that's because we don't host it anymore. The domain got drop catched. That is, it expired, and someone snapped it up. But rather than leaving the domain to die, they re-uploaded the web page to it. And so this is not run by us anymore. It's been stolen, essentially, right? This, you can see here, Flutter Events, this is not us. You see, suddenly the top's got, you may follow some OnlyFans or something. This is a spammy website that is stealing people's content and cookies or something like that, right? So, yeah, Flutter Events, no longer a thing. Sorry, it's gone. Don't go there. We've removed it off the links of our website, and we've raised complaints with the hosting providers of the new website and things like that. I doubt anything's going to happen though, but it's got our faces on it. You know what I mean? It's a copy of the website, which is really there's without going down the legal route of actually with lawyers and all that, it's just not going to get gone. And I'm not spending money doing that. So yeah, sorry, that's gone. But we have Flutter Streams instead. So flutterstreams.com. Very similar thing, but won't be directly about events. It's more about live streams. So there you go. It happens to anyone, but all right. So I'm gonna I'll post this little scale widget thing that we built. We could, what was the thing? What was the number animation with the chart? Shall we do we want to continue? I don't know. Do we want to show how to draw this kind of chart or something? I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward, but is anyone interested? Otherwise, we could park it here, I guess, and leave it for next week. I've got one sure. Anything else? I've got yep. Any other takers? We've got another one. All right, we'll do that then. So let's think. We want. So I'm just adjusting this top section. I'm going to say. Size. All right, so that's kind of gives us a little starting point. So just to kind of go through it, so default text style affects both these text fields or anything below this in the hierarchy. If we want to make this like title optional, it's kind of nice. We've got the padding that provides a little bit of room on the outside. I think, can we do an inspector? There you go. And row. But the first one is expanded. This means if you go back to the layout here, this first one eats up the space. So this way, as the widget gets smaller, if it's resized, in fact, let's add that scale. We'll add that slider for the scale. Might be fun. But as the widget gets larger, it will be this that wraps and not the right-hand side. The right-hand side will always take up the space it needs. So I can show you that as we get larger. So maybe if I do 3 times, see how badly that overflows. 2 times, let's do 2.2. There you go. So as you can see here, it's not the right hand side here where the money value is it's the left hand side that's to take up more space now, right? Okay, just wanted to explain that. Right. Let's build a little stateful widget here, which is slider scale. I guess we'll have a value. Starts off as 1. And I guess we want a scale and a slider. And we want to wrap a widget. So let's pass that widget in. All right, so our scale is a scale, child is a child, and then slider. We do another slider further down. Yeah, value here unchanged. Let's bring that up. Right, sorry, a bit of up and down there. Right, nice and simple, I guess. Let's call it value, I guess. Minimum 0.25, maximum 2.5. I don't know. Let's see what that happens. Ooh, what have we done? Oh, yeah, it's required. Oh yeah, we need to wrap our widget with that. That'd be helpful, wouldn't it? All right, so this is going to wrap our home screen in our slider scale, and then let's get rid of that scale. Okay, so now restart. Dun, dun, dun. That's fine. Let's put let's put that in expand. Okay, so dragging this should scale. Oh yeah, that is cool. I'll talk to the widget book guys. I think this would be a really good, like, what do they call them, knobs, like setting thing for widget book. That is actually super helpful. I like that. Why are we printing the scale off somewhere? I think I left some debug stuff in there. Oops. Yeah. That is super nice. And if we do this, if this was done in a, let's wrap this in a, I have no idea if this is gonna, let's just find out. Wrap this in a single child scroll view. It should effectively mean as we get larger. Oh yeah, no, this is about the restrictions of the way the card works, right? Question mark. So you want unconstrained height. That should work. There we go. So now if it gets too large, it should scroll. Why you no scroll? You can click. No, because that should scan as well. Well, that's interesting. I don't know. I mean, it's getting larger, but it doesn't mean it's too big to scroll. And we report ourselves as being as hang on a minute, what just happened there? Why did I saw a scroll bar. Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Oh, I'm a big idiot. On desktop, it used the scroll wheel by default. I'm an idiot. All right. There's me thinking of bugging my own code. I mean, that's the way that's normally the obvious answer, right? Yeah. So it does scroll on desktop. You can do a grab scroll. You set scroll behavior. No time. Anyway. Okay, cool. So that is pretty damn cool, actually. Maybe we should take this, stick it in the top of our widget, and the top of this as an example. This little name example of using scale. I really want something really, really large. I guess. I guess let's just do a simple thing. Maybe a column. Text testing. All right, I think I'll push this. Yeah, I'm going to call it here. Next time, we'll finish this off for sure. Wow, wow, wow. That's expected behavior because I've got my it's 4 divided by 1, not 1 divided by 4, right? Yes. And then if you ever get this, by the way, red text with a double underline, that's because there's no parent material for text to go get the default text style from. So you either override the default text style yourself, right, like so, and you can set it to whatever you want, like 9, 12, right? There you go. Or you just put a piece of material in, which means you'll go get it from the theme and do it properly. So yeah, just do that. Right. I don't think like right, so there's an example, and then if we change this to 1, there's 1, and then 3, nice and fat and thick. Yeah, 3. That looks like blurry to me. Hang on, let me just put filter quality on. Now I've got like, it does. Hang on, let's do 4. And right, has anyone else seen that? That I know it's coming through YouTube and it's pretty blurry anyway, but let's do this even more. 6. Hopefully you can see the pixels in that. That is very blurry. So we put our filter quality on. And then restart. Does that make a difference? I would expect that to make a difference. Are we simply not passing it through correctly? Underscore filter quality. Looks correct to me. That's kind of interesting. I wonder if that's a bug in the Windows specific renderer. Like it's ignoring the filter quality. I mean, I mean, it should be working. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't make a difference. I wouldn't expect to be able to see the pixels either. No, I know we're talking about quality and everything else, but let me have a quick look at something here. I just wanted to see if we do this without a layer, what the behavior actually is. I'm kind of curious. So, I want to try with a transform layer instead of a filter layer. I'm kind of curious. Similar thing, basically. We can just do a transform layer, right? Yeah. Aha! Aha ha ha. Now that's interesting to me. So a transform layer is actually transforming which is the way I was going to do it originally before I looked at transform.scale. Transform.scale is doing an image filter layer. I think we just found a bug. It feels to me like we just found a bug in the system. But, and you know what? I'm happy with dropping that and using a transform layer instead. It feels more appropriate to me. So we can actually get rid of filter quality now. There she blows. Right. Yeah. Okay, cool. Restart. Nice. So there's our 6x, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sweet. So as you can see, we've actually scaled the thickness of the lines, right, which is actually done completely in relation to the layout. So nice. Not a smoking gun, as they say, but it does the job. Put it back to dark. It's too bright. What is the default placeholder? Oh, it's hard coded. Doesn't come from a theme. That sucks. Right. All right. That's enough playing around with this. Give it a little bit in between. There we go. All right. So I think that's a reasonable example. Right. I'm going to drop that in a gist. Yeah, the text is scanning as well as is scanning well as well. Yeah. Right, let's make that gist quickly. And you guys can have a play around with it. And then tell me next week if you find bugs. Just try wrapping your entire app in a scale widget. And then you can tell me what happens. Scale. What's today's date? Let's put it down there. 13th. No, so okay. Regarding the text scaling, so the question here was just, I thought you didn't want the text to scale, or are you missing something? We didn't want to use text scale factor because text scale factor is overriding the what's the word? The accessibility scale factor, if that can make sense, but on text alone. And this is like the reason why you might say I've got a 16-point size gap between something and my text is 16. Now, that's a one-to-one relationship if you're not scanning your text. But as soon as, let's say you say I want larger fonts in my system, then 16 dips of your size box will stay the same, but 16 dips of a font will now be, let's say, double or triple the size. If that makes sense. If you whacked up the size to full, right? So what we're doing here is we're saying, don't just scale the text, I want you to scale everything, right? So if you wanted to, you could do an accessibility thing with this in your app, right? And say scale everything. But that's not what I was using this for. This is more of a... I'll give you an example of what this is more about. This is more about detecting the screen scale factor, maybe, and then applying a different scale to the app based on the screen size. So if you were to move your app from a 4K monitor to HD monitor, the physical size of it stays the same rather than getting smaller or larger. What we do is we're essentially scanning the assets that would normally be 1.0 on a HD screen. When you get to 4K, we scale up to 2 times, right? So it's 200%. So it's the same physical, whatever. You get my point. But this is quite nice for when you want to do, inside apps, you might have like desktop apps, you have like maybe a zoom bar, or you press Control plus and minus on your keyboard and it zooms the app in or zooms it out. Things like Slack and stuff do this, right? Where you can like make everything in the app larger. That's what this is essentially doing, right? Somewhat. It's a bit more complicated than that, but yeah. Anyway, I'll pop that just in the chat for those that want to see. There you go. So that is what we've just been building. Cool. It's not just the default fonts. It's like the entire fonts of your app would change size. It's one of the reasons why you don't do fixed sizes for widgets. If you've got a size box around something that has text in, that's not good. Right? What you want to do is instead put padding around it and then put your widgets around that. So that way, when the text gets bigger, the bar that the text is in gets bigger or whatever, right? The button, rather than the text getting clipped off inside a fixed size button. Always test with accessibility. Always test the size. Widget Book does this, which is really great. You can put like sliders and stuff for it, but always check this text scale factor. There is another device frame, something like that, package, which lets you do all this in your app, which is really quite nice. Right. Okay. I shall see you all next week. Thanks for coming. I guess we'll leave it there. Thanks again. And I'll see you same time next week. Bye.